We'll get into those latest updates. There's a ranking of the NFL rookie classes. Both the Cowboys and the Texans looking good there. David Pierce did reveal the starting rotation, and since we got Hardball here with us, we'll review and preview a little bit of Texas baseball as well. We'll also get into some Texas football discussion, go behind the burnt orange curtain. There is a Pro Football Focus list showing some love to one of the Longhorn defenders, and also a top 100 big board coming up for the NFL draft that's actually got a fast riser, a lifetime Longhorn who's rising up draft boards. We'll talk about that as well coming up. NBA news, notes, and nuggets coming up in the 6 o'clock. All the Texas teams were in action last night, so we'll talk about that right before the All-Star break. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres to chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for him, it's a breeze. Mike Hardball Hards. What's going on, Mike? How you doing, man?
Nada, man. I'm just here, kicking it, ready to go. One more sleep before Texas baseball kicks off this Friday night, and I can't wait to be a part of it. But like you said, man, there's a lot to get to, and I can't wait to get into it. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary Lifetime and Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments, but he is a fan of you, the listeners. My man and yours, Rod Babels.
I appreciate that intro as always. That's not to waste any time introducing the real MVP. He's one of the hardest working members of the Aryan family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We do know he's underpaid. Patrick Davis. How you doing, Patrick?
Doing good. Ready to rock it on a Thursday.
Yeah, man. Also, new theme Thursday. Forgot to mention that. New theme Thursday. My man Patrick plays different songs that are supposed to give Harge and I clues and hints as to what the new theme of the day is. And we'll try not to embarrass ourselves. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, I like that.
You can hit us up on the Specs text line. You're the heartbeat of this thing. 512-337-3776. That's the best way to do it. You also can do it via Twitter. Hardball Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. All right, we got a lot of kind of different random topics that we're going to talk about all throughout the show. I do want to start, though, with a disappointing, and we'll get to the Cowboys and where they stand in the mock draft, too. But Todd McShay, I think, looking at one of the latest quotes from, man, honestly, I guess it's from a good source because it was actually from Jim Irsay himself when recently he was quoted saying the Alabama guy doesn't look bad in regards to whether they would take a quarterback in the draft. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even have one of the top picks. Of course, they have the number 4 overall pick, but him referencing the Alabama guy, I think that's as far as he could go, and the Alabama guy being Bryce Young, and saying the Alabama guy, there are a lot of people that believe, and this could just be, theater, off-season theater. It could just be him throwing out misinformation, trying to throw everybody off the scent. That happens a lot during off-season, draft season. Mm-hmm. But now, based on, I think, that information, Todd McShay's latest mock draft, which came out yesterday, he's got the Colts trading up in the first round of the latest mock draft to go get Bryce Young.
Yep.
And he's got them taking Bryce Young. He's got the Texans taking C.J. Stroud at pick 2. Now, I don't necessarily have a huge problem with it. I said I'd be fine with both. I do like C.J. Stroud. I think if I had to choose, Bryce Young is my guy. That's who I'd go with. I know there are a lot of questions about his size and whether he can even be a quarterback that can deal with the wear and tear of today's NFL because he's slight of build. But, man, I think just based on the film that I've seen on both of those guys, Bryce Young would be more my guy. But it has the Texans settling at number 2. I do wonder if now we'll start to see some of these mock drafts say the Texans may be interested in trading up. They got all the draft capital in the world. They got 2 first-rounders this year, 2 first-rounders next year, ton of draft capital. They could always just move up in the draft, go get their guy. Do we think the Texans, once again, let the Colts get over on them? they already did when they beat you, and then that's the reason you end up having the number 2 overall pick because you should have lost that game and you beat them and should have lost that game and then end up having the number 1 overall pick. But I digress. That's old news. Now, Texans need to move up and get this pick.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
No matter who they're going to draft, by the way.
No doubt about it.
No matter who they're going to draft, even if it's C.J. Stroud.
But going back to what you were saying about Jim Irsay, I actually heard him talking about it.
You heard him saying that?
And Chris Ballard kept saying, yeah, there's a lot of defensive guys that are pretty good too. And he said, yeah, but I like that kid from Alabama. This was during the introductory press conference.
They're on they're together
they're
on the podium?
on the podium.
I didn't
going
see it.
back and forth. I'm sitting there watching this, and Irsay's like, oh, yeah, I really like that kid from Alabama. And he's like, well, we like a lot of players, and we really like the defensive side of the ball as well. And he was like, yeah, but that quarterback. And this is all as he's introducing
That's crazy.
the hiring of their new coach.
Shane Steichen.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And as it was going on, it was like, okay, are they trying to posture? Because just like Jerry Jones, Steven has to step in sometimes and say, nah, we're looking at this, we're looking at that. But Jerry's like, no, we're going to go get that guy. That's our guy. That's Jim Irsay. He was like, nah, I really like that quarterback from Alabama.
It is. I like that Alabama guy.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. That's strange. I didn't realize that's the way it came out.
That's the way it came out.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were both sitting
So
on
either
the
it was
podium.
theater that they had already worked out beforehand and discussed that hey man, we're gonna have this little improvised skit, so just go with it.
No.
Or
No, the way if you get a chance to watch the video, Irsay was dead serious. He was like, nah, man, I really like that Alabama quarterback. And Ballard sitting on the side, you can see him off camera. Nah, we really like a couple of defensive players too. And he was like, yeah, but I really like that kid from Alabama. And it's like, yeah,
Okay.
sometimes we're going to find out who makes the choice.
That makes sense as to why Todd McShay would shift his latest mock draft that way. And he's got, I believe he's got, the Chicago Bears giving up the Chicago Bears getting a ton in exchange for that. His write-up here is the new coach, Shane Steichen, got Justin Herbert up to speed when he was with the Chargers. It also says, and then he helped turn his efforts to Jalen Hurts to make him one of the top quarterbacks. Indianapolis has plenty of playmakers already on the roster, but Steichen now needs a signal caller to build around. Young's combine measurements will be important considering his slender frame, but he also says that nothing seems to rattle him. He can hit all the NFL level throws. Goes on to talk about that. So he doesn't really get into what it would cost.
Right.
As a Texans fan, I'm wondering what it would cost. I did look up all time, like basically all the trades. There have been 12 trades in the history of the NFL draft for the number 1 overall pick. And I believe the most draft compensation given up or received was the Titans getting the compensation from the Rams for the Jared Goff pick. I could be off about this, but they got the 2016 first-round pick, 2017 first-round pick. They got the 2 second-round picks. They got 2 third-round picks.
Yeah.
And then Rams obviously got the number 1 overall pick. They also got a 6th-round pick in return. And so there could be more compensation than that for the number 1 overall pick, but I think that's the most given up for it, but it won't be that, of course.
Right.
But I'm just going back looking at recent precedent for it. Texans should be more than willing to give up, I don't know, 2 first-rounders and a couple of middle-round picks for that just to make sure that nothing stands in your way of getting the number 1 overall pick.
All right.
No matter, so there's just so in case the fit hits the shan and the draft just doesn't work out the way you project it to work out, your insurance is, oh, you know what, man, we got our guy. We got the number 1 overall pick. Because even though it's only 1 pick after number 1, if the Chicago, and there's a report now from, let me make sure I get the reporter's name correctly. There's a report now that the Chicago Bears may be looking to trade their quarterback, Jason Lockenfor.
Yeah.
He says more than one NFL general manager came away from the Senior Bowl fairly convinced that Justin Fields will be dealt.
That's unbelievable to me. That is so.
But it could just be theater.
Yep. It's
could
that
just
time
be
of the
missing-
year.
It is that time of the year.
It's that time of the year.
You know what I mean? So you're entertaining that. It could just be that. I agree. They probably should invest in Justin Fields. But if you really like Bryce Young,
Yeah.
if you think you done your research, you go, we got the number 1 overall pick, and we really like Bryce Young.
Yeah, but is it worth getting rid of all of your draft capital, though? That's the other part of it. I know he may be a transcending type of player at some point, but you know as well as I do, it's hard to make an impact as soon as you come in. What is that offensive line going to be? Let's just say they do that, okay? Todd McShay obviously is looking at what I saw, and he's saying, okay, let's see if this happens. But to me, do the Houston Texans want to trade up to get rid of all the capital that they have because of Bryce Young when you got a C.J. Stroud sitting right there as well?
Depends on your evaluation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What your scouts say. You got to trust your scouts on that one.
Right, because if we lose that guy, because I don't think either one of those guys are going to hurt you as a draft pick. And I know we've talked about it, and Bryce Young is the guy. We got to see him up close. Heisman Trophy winner, done amazing things. But we've all had the conversation about him being a little slight. Is he going to be that guy? So for me, I don't think you lose at all by either one of these draft picks. If you stay at number 2, you keep all your draft capital, and then you go and get whoever you draft. And then you start surrounding them with all the talent.
Okay.
Right?
No,
You know what I'm
that's a
saying?
good way to
So-
go. Now, I don't hate C.J. Stroud. I don't dislike that pick at all. If you want to do that and just surround him with a lot of great weapons because you got the draft capital to do it, I'm fine with that too. I'm just saying if you're in love.
Right. If you're in love.
If you're in love.
If you're in love with the cocoa.
Yeah, if you fall in love with any of these quarterbacks, then, hey, go with your heart. If you're in love, you're like, no,
Right.
this guy, there's a clear separation.
Correct.
This guy is it. Then I think you trade the draft capital and go get your guy. I do.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, and that for me, I just have Bryce Young just because of how well he can read defenses and how quickly he has been able to go through his reads.
Adaptability.
That for me is just something that's so important in today's game. That's the guy I think is above. Whereas if you get a C.J. Stroud, you're like, okay, there's a project that we're going to have to see, and his ceiling's huge. But what if he can't see safeties? And in the NFL, he's just a guy that you're like, well, we can't ever really throw downfield because even though he's got a cannon, he throws picks half the time, and he throws in double coverage. Like, because there's been tons and tons of those guys throughout the years that have super arm talent, are pretty good at everything, but they just don't read defense as well. And from that point on, you're like, well, we could have given up 2 draft picks that turned out to be guys that we weren't going to re-sign anyway, or to get a guy that is now beating us every single year in our own division because the Colts trade up to get him.
Yeah, that's true.
Or we're going to go sit and have a guy that we're like, cool, he's our quarterback for the next 6-7 years, and we never win anything, and we're just okay. Like, and I'm not saying we don't know because Bryce Young could not be that guy, and C.J. Stroud could be. Will Levis could be the guy. You don't know. And we've talked about plenty of times on this show.
No, yeah.
Judging NFL quarterback talent is just a crapshoot at a certain point.
Yeah.
So you don't really know, but if your scouts are like, that's the guy, he's a 10. C.J. Stroud is a 7. I think it's very much worth giving up your other draft picks to try and move up one spot to go get him. And then if you're the Bears, I still think it makes the most sense to try to trade to number 1, trade down to number 2, and then try and trade down to number 4.
Yeah.
Because then you can still have the number 4 overall pick when you're not picking a quarterback and add a ton of draft capital in the process.
If Justin Fields is your franchise quarterback,
Yes.
but if you fall in love with Bryce Young and you say, man, he's the upgrade, guy.
But they
can
may
upgrade
fall in love with
immediately.
C.J. Stroud as well. If you go, well, we've built our team somewhat around Justin
They could,
Fields, and
yeah.
C.J. Stroud's player set is more in line with Justin Fields, so we don't have to change what we're doing to bring in.
I don't
could be, but-
I don't think he's more of a runner like Justin Fields.
Yeah, he's
is
not
there.
like Justin Fields,
He's a pocket guy, and I think I think he is another guy that will excel at this level because again, he played under Ryan Day's offense. He's had success, and if you go back and look at some of his biggest games, he actually played well in a lot of big games, and he had a lot of weapons around him. And that's the other question for all of these guys, and we've talked about it, like as you said, about how you value picks at this point. And that's the other thing that Ballard was saying, too, on the stand. He said, we also like defensive players and we like picks. That's exactly what his conversation was. So you can sit there and, as Irsay was saying, oh, yeah, this is what I'm feeling and this is how it could be. But when you look at what C.J. Stroud upside could be, he's been a Heisman finalist a couple times. He ain't win it, but he's been to the Invitational. You know what I'm saying? So he must have done some things that are well. Bryce Young obviously won the Heisman Trophy, number one player coming in America, coming out of high school. He's been that dude. So you know that he's going to continue to get better. But I still say, if I'm the Houston Texans, I'm not giving up what I have to build to go and get one more pick, Bryce Young versus C.J. Stroud. I think it can both work out.
It's a good point. Here's why I think you can do it. Because, and by the way, the Cowboys, just for Cowboys fans.
No, don't do that. I already saw it.
No, Cowboys fans. They got
lineman.
They got the Cowboys getting. Yeah, he's got the Cowboys taking a lineman.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way. He's got the Cowboys taking a lineman, the Cyrus Torrence from Florida, the guard.
Yep, and I think a reason why they would look at that too is because of the aging offensive line.
And Connor McGovern.
Yeah,
is out, and then you got Tyron Smith, who you don't really know what he's going to do there.
Right. So I can see that.
Terrence Steele's a restricted free agent.
I probably won't lose my mind near as much as I did with Tyler, but now I'm like eating crow because Tyler showed out.
He did.
Yeah.
No, trust me. I'm happy to eat crow when I'm wrong about my team's draft. I'm like, yes, give me that crow. Give me some hot sauce with it. I want to make sure it goes down good. There. Yes, no question. Speaking of that, actually, this leads us to our next topic. I was looking at CBS Sports, and they did a ranking of the rookie class that was drafted in 2022. And I thought this was interesting because both the Cowboys and the Texans were highly ranked on this CBS Sports ranking of the rookie classes after year one. The JETS, which had the Offensive Rookie of the Year and the Defensive Rookie of the Year, they were the best class. But it was interesting because this is why I think the Texans can afford, and I agree with you, by the way, that's a lot to give up. No matter if you got to give up, multiple first-round picks and multiple middle-round picks to go get that number one overall pick. But the reason they can afford to do it, they've actually had really good drafts the last 2 years.
Right.
And we'll get to the Cowboys because the Cowboys are in the same conversation, by the way, too. The Texans, based on this CBS Sports ranking for their draft, they had the Texans ranked 7th. Their year one hits, Dameon Pierce ended up being a starting running back, led all rookies in rushing yards. Jalen Petrie was another guy, ended up being a really good rookie for the Texans, a starter for you as well. Derek Stingley, supposed to be a starter. He's a first round pick. Christian Harris is another player that ended up giving you starting reps. And last year I went and looked at the rankings for the Texans rookie class from last season. I couldn't find the CBS Sports one, but I found Pro Football Focus and I found NFL.com had Texans at a top 10 at number 2 overall ranking for Pro Football Focus, which that's really high. But NFL.com had them as the number 10 overall ranked rookie class. So because you've actually been able to hit in your rookie classes and you do have a ton of draft capital for the future, I think if you really feel passionate about a certain player being Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud really at the top of the draft, man, you can. I think you should pay the cost to go get your guy.
Pay the cost to be the boss, huh?
I don't think you leave anything to chance. That's the problem. You left something to chance. That's why you're in this position.
Yeah, that's
Great
true.
organizations do everything within their power to leave nothing to chance.
Yeah.
All right. That's what clock management is about. Oh, what the Kansas City Chiefs do in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
No. Don't go out of bounds. Don't score.
Yep.
All
And
right?
that's amazing that he still did it, too. He slid in there.
He slid.
Safe.
Dude, don't leave anything to chance.
Right.
Why would you do that? Bad organizations leave stuff like that to chance, and it comes back to bite them. The Texans are a bad organization, and it came back to bite them.
Yeah.
It's coming back to bite them right now because you may have to give up draft capital just to get that pick. That shouldn't have been the case. So I'm just saying, don't make two mistakes. This mistake is it's the reason you have all the draft capital. Just move up to the number 1 overall pick and go get your guy, whoever it is.
But what do you do to fill in all those other gaps that you might have? Because it's great. Go get them. You're in this position for a reason. Your team's not very good, But what happens if this dude goes in there and has the David Carr effect?
Well,
Where he's just been getting beat up so much. I know he's got bookend tackles.
Yeah, he's
and
got two of the best tackles in the league. Well, why would that happen?
I'm just saying he doesn't have a big play wide receivers. He doesn't have those big playmakers
you can
on
draft.
the side.
The wide
That's
receiver's
what I'm
the deepest
saying.
position in football.
Which I was about to say. They say that the Texans are going to end up getting Quentin Johnston from TCU in the same time. With their second first round pick.
They could. I mean, like I said, you might end up you can give up future draft cap. You don't have to give up
that's what I was
first
saying.
round pick this year. You can give up.
Yeah.
You can swap picks with that first one, or at least the higher pick, the number 2 overall pick, and then you can trade the future. You have so much draft capital.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Don't leave anything to chance.
And if you want to go out, I'm sure there's teams out there that are willing to trade away a wide receiver right now for a draft pick if they're not necessarily going all in anymore.
Yeah.
So there's other ways you can go get a playmaker if you want to with future picks or whatever, and just go, hey, you guys are trying to rebuild now, and you have a wide receiver that we want. Yeah. We'll go give you a second round pick or a second and a third for him.
Hey, you just been hitting on
your. Is that Ridley? Is that Calvin Ridley from? If he gets reinstated from Jacksonville, do you go out there and try to get him?
No, because he's a little bit older. But I mean, I bet there's guys.
Not that much older.
He's what, 30, 31?
No, Calvin Ridley.
Ridley?
No, he's a young player.
He's probably 28, 27.
Yeah, and he played at Alabama too. He's a younger player. I don't think he's that old.
Yeah. No, I just say you got a lot of draft capital, and you got, to me, it gives you a lot of wiggle room because you've had really good drafts the last 2 years. Yep. And I think that means Nick Caserio could end up having another really good draft with all the draft capital. It makes me feel good about that. Speaking of the Cowboys in these rankings that we were just looking at.
Give it to us, dog.
No. Honestly, the Cowboys,
we did good.
Really good, actually.
Yeah,
they got
good.
the Cowboys ranked as the number 5 overall ranking in the CBS Sports rookie class grades for this past draft, which
we won something.
But honestly, this is probably part of the frustration. The Cowboys actually have been—they're the most homegrown team in the NFL, arguably.
Yep.
But they have been really good in the draft. They've been really good in the draft the last few years. They've been unbelievable, actually. I looked at their same ranking last 2021's draft class, not this past one, but 2 years ago, and Pro Football Focus had them ranked at 12th for that class. NFL.com had them ranked number 7.
Yeah.
I mean, they're basically hovering around being a top 10 rookie class every time they draft.
Yeah. But we always think that, right? I mean, when we look at the Cowboys and what they do in the draft and how they go about their business, we always think of them as that team that is always going to draft well. But like everybody says, even though they won 10 games this year, 12 games this past year, everybody's still looking at that other part of it. Where's the finish line? We can score well. We can do good grades. We'll get good grades, but we're not in the winner's circle. Everybody wants to see us in the winner's circle.
No, I agree with that. But, I mean, just I wasn't surprised to see him that high. It talks about Tyler Smith being a good hit for him. Deron Bland's one of the best rookies in the NFL this year on defense. And Jake Ferguson. And it was you that showed me the tweet from Travis Kelce about Jake Ferguson, talking about how he really likes Jake Ferguson.
He really likes his game and how he thinks that he can be a great player in this league. And I said that from the draft day. I said, I've always liked Wisconsin tight ends because, number one, they understand their role in the game. It's like Dalton Schultz. Everybody's talking about Dalton Schultz. You need to try to re-sign him. And it's like, that's going to be part of your money that you don't want to spend. Yeah. I know he's the security blanket, but y'all didn't think that at the very beginning when Dalton Schultz came here. And I think the relationship with Ferguson is going to be even better. I think he's going to be a better version of Dalton Schultz because he does have that type of talent. I've been watching that kid for years, and I told you my secret obsession is Wisconsin football. Yeah. I've always been a big fan of Wisconsin football, so I pay a little bit more attention to them as they play compared to some of the other teams that aren't in the Big 12. And I'm always watching because it's amazing to me that, number one, they've always had a great running game. So you pay attention to their offensive line. They no matter who is coaching their team, they can always run the ball. So you pay attention to their offense. And their running backs always have success. And their tight ends are those types of tight ends that can slip out, because everybody's putting everybody in the box, and you get a tight end that knows how to work his way in the defense and always seems to be open. Ferguson was that way too. If you remember, you go back and look at it early in the year, Dak was going to him in the very beginning. Cooper Rush was going to him because he's a good tight end.
Well, the
so
Cowboys,
I think the Cowboys will if they don't decide to pay Dalton Schultz, that will be why.
I think they need to move on from Dalton Schultz.
I've been saying that.
Yeah. You can't do it. You can't afford to do it.
You cannot put a franchise tag on a tight end again.
No, you can't do it.
And pay him that big money.
You're going to need to franchise tag Tony Pollard probably.
Right.
So you can't do it with
him.
You can't do it with him.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you about Jake Ferguson. I mean, it's one of those things you got to gamble on whether you have a tight end who's ready to take that next step. I think he is, but I'm with you. I think overpaying for a tight end would be a miscalculation for the Cowboys.
For sure.
All right, we'll come back. We'll talk about the Texas baseball team. Actually, Coach Pierce did reveal the starting rotation, so we'll review that. But also, we're going to preview Texas baseball. Thanks, we got my man Harge here to help us do it. So we'll ask him some of the tough questions. We'll throw some hard balls at him right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about Allstat beer. Allstat is true German beer made with 100% true German ingredients. It's brewed right in the Texas Hill Country, right up the road in Fredericksburg, Texas, at the Allstat Brewery off of 290. They have a state-of-the-art brewery that is so beautiful. The brewery prides itself on their award-winning German-style beers. They also have an amazing fine dining restaurant and a tap room where you can try more flavors. Plan a tour today and see for yourself. Enjoy some great beers, some great food, and, of course, bring some great friends along with you. On the weekends, the brewery also has live music, so plan a trip today. Go to allstatbeer.com to find a local watering hole where you can enjoy some or where you can pick some up on your way home. Make Allstat your beer of choice. Allstat beer is made with 100% true German ingredients. That means German hops, malts, and yeast, and, of course, that natural hill country water. Allstat beer, no impurities, no regrets.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That means my man Patrick plays jams for us. And based on those selections, those songs, we're supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the new theme of the day. And, I'm not sure. Is this Chuck D?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Okay.
PE, baby.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all I got. I don't know if I got anything else. Harch, you got a guess here?
He said, I got game, he got game. So I'm going to say All-Star Game weekend.
I mean,
Nice.
I'll give it to you. These are songs about basketball.
Yeah. All-Star Game weekend.
So there you go.
basketball.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice. Well done. I like that. That got first off the jump. There you go. So is it All-Star weekend or basketball?
Basketball.
Just basketball in general.
It's basketball.
Yeah.
There's not 7 songs about All-Star Weekend.
No, I know. I mean, but like, is that the reason?
Yeah,
for
no, the reason is it's
basketball
All-Star
theme?
Weekend. We are now into
Yes.
basketball season fully because the NFL is over.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's time to focus on some basketball.
Nah, nice. I like that. Okay, there you go. New
I
theme
like it.
Thursday.
Like it.
The theme is time to start focusing on basketball, baby. I like that. There are a lot of songs about basketball. Most of them hip hop. Probably all of them hip hop.
A lot.
Mostly, yeah,
I was
pretty
gonna
much
say
most of them.
majority.
There's not one. Yeah, I don't know if there's a rock and roll song about.
I don't think
basketball.
I've ever heard a rock and roll song about
even
basketball.
a pop song about basketball.
There's pop songs about basketball.
Are there
for sure.
pop songs about
Yeah.
basketball?
Well, don't forget Jack Harlow is a rap. Wow, that's rapper.
He's a
though.
rapper.
Yeah.
What's a pop
Yeah.
song about basketball?
There's some like young kids that did stuff. There's like younger pop stuff that came out about basketball.
Oh man, I don't. I don't even. You gonna play that today?
Probably not.
I've never heard of that before. I would love to know. You give me some info about that because I thought all the songs about basketball were hip hop songs.
Well, majority
Even
of
like the
them are
little,
hip-hop
the little
players.
kid songs were hip hop kids. So you got-
No, I know. Like there's
That's-
Aaron Carter. That's how I beat Shaq.
Yep.
So that's
right.
one that is not
That's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. I'm not playing it. I'm just telling you
Yeah.
that song exists.
Oh man, that's terrible.
I'm not playing it.
Yeah, that is bad. All right, basketball. That is the theme of New Theme Thursday. All right, let's get into some Texas baseball discussion. Coach Pierce did reveal. I mean, you actually were you on
I
this
was
call?
there. I was actually there at
You
the
was there?
press conference
All right,
yesterday.
all right, there you go.
And it's funny because I had a previous call with Coach Pierce leading up for production for
Okay, that's
Flow
what I thought.
Baseball this weekend. And when he was asked about his starting rotation, he's like, "Yeah, it's there." He wasn't going to give up any information because he didn't know what the other teams were going
okay.
to give up as well. So
right.
he was trying to adjust his lineup according to what they were going to be doing.
Interesting.
So he didn't reveal anything, but then Arkansas revealed their pitching rotation for the weekend, and now he decided he was going to do so as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So now you got Coach Pierce. He was on actually with B&E too.
Yes, he
so
was.
shout out to B&E. Go check that out on the podcast page at hornfm.com if you want to. But the Friday night starter, Lucas Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night starter is going to be Zane Morehouse. And Travis Staley will be the Sunday night starter.
Yes, and this was good because you get a mixture. You get Lucas Gordon, the most experienced pitcher that he has left on his team, a guy that stepped into the rotation and never relinquished it. I mean, he was very experienced, and he was the calming force within that midweek pitching, not midweek, but mid-rotation behind Pete Hansen. And he came out and did a great job, was all conference. He's preseason, all Big 12 this year. He's done an unbelievable job. And then you look at what Zane Morehouse was able to do and get better as the season went on. He has a lot of upside, and he's taken this role by doing some of the things during the offseason that they was asked of him and beginning to show it during the scrimmages and everything like that. And then Travis Staley is somebody that was mixed in out of the bullpen last year, came in and did a great job as a middle reliever and sometimes starter. Did a great job with that, and now he's being rewarded for that. But he said this is ever-flowing. It may change. You got some other guys in the back end that have done a great job that might get a shot on a Sunday start, but he felt comfortable with this group of guys being in the beginning of the rotation. The other part of it is, too, don't expect any of these guys to go more than 5 innings unless their pitch count is so low that they're getting through innings really, really quick. Don't expect to see any of these guys going further than that because, again, this is the very beginning. It's the opening weekend. It's going to be stressful. Like I said, I believe there's going to be 25,000 fans in the stand for the game one for the University of Texas because they're playing Arkansas in that first game. Obviously, Missouri is not one of the better top-tier teams in the SEC, but they made a lot of changes too. They brought in a bunch of transfers, and they're trying to figure out what they can do to win some games right now. And then on Sunday, going up against Vanderbilt, who is one of the top teams in the country, got probably a top 5 prospect in center field. So this is going to be a good challenge for the Horns this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of changes in the offseason. We talked about them, obviously, as they happened. But now looking back at them in retrospect, in totality, and that was an overhaul.
Big time.
Essentially, of the coaching staff for Coach Pierce.
Completely
and
overhaul.
Do you believe it's going to take that, even the coaching staff, a while? For them to get, some chemistry together, continuity. They have, I don't know the history, how many of them have worked together before.
None of them.
Okay.
None of them have worked together before, so that's the other part of it. It's different mindset, different cohesiveness, and knowing each other's quirks. I mean, it's easy to deal with it during the off season because we can go all hang out and go kick it and all that
No pressure.
stuff. But as soon as the game starts, everybody's intentions are a little bit different. Don't forget, Steve Rodriguez, former teammate of mine, who is now the first base coach for the University of Texas. He was a head coach for 19 seasons. I mean, you think about that, and now he's taking that step back, being the first base coach and not being the guy that's in charge of everything. And then you look at Woody Williams, who's been a pitching coach at San Jax. He played in the big leagues for, I believe, 15 years, was a big-time pitcher, played at U of H. I mean, this guy has a bunch of knowledge. He's a pitching coach, but Coach Pierce is a pitching guy as well. Yeah. So, you just got to figure all that stuff out together. But the other part of it, and this is the easiest part about it, you'll figure it out quickly because the game takes care of itself. You know what I'm saying? There will be situations that'll come about. These guys have played the game of baseball for a long time. And Coach Pierce said this is going to be one of the years that he can get back to teaching the most. Yeah. Because you had older guys on your team. Now you got a third baseman that's a freshman. You got a first baseman that's a freshman that are going to be able to play. You got some other guys that are transferring in that you're going to have to teach the ways of being at the University of Texas and what it's like to be a Texas Longhorn on the baseball field. It's a lot that's going to go into this, but this is the time where they really get to understand it. This is the time, and the same for all these other teams as well. There's a lot of teams, the teams that are in this tournament this weekend, they're dealing with a lot of unknown as well.
What's your biggest concern about the roster currently? Because it's just so many unproven commodities, right? You got a lot of unproven talent on that roster. It's talented, but just it's unproven. Is it the infield with Mitchell Daly basically being the only guy?
Well, Mitchell Daly was an All-American shortstop coming out of high school. Yeah. He didn't play shortstop here because of Trey Faltini, so he does have that. Jack O'Dowd, who initially, what it seems is going to be the starting second baseman, he was a top prospect in the state of Tennessee. He originally went to Vanderbilt before he transferred to the University of Texas. So I think these guys are going to be okay. But the continuity that Mitchell Daly had with Trey Faltini, I mean, Trey Faltini was Gold Glove shortstop. If he'd have been if he'd have been in pro ball at the time, he would have probably won a Gold Glove because of the way that he played. Skylar Messenger, Gold Glove third baseman, he's gone. That left side is now revamped, and you have youth on the third base side and the first base side. So there will be the infield, not necessarily the middle, more of the corners because they're both true freshmen. Yeah, that's going to be the biggest challenge right there.
Yeah, it's gonna, and I can't wait to see kind of what the offensive identity ends up being. I mean, last year they were so prolific.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I mean,
they're not going to be the same.
Yeah,
so, folks coming out, do not expect to see the bombs bursting in air, so to speak.
Yeah, man.
Because it's a different group of guys that are going to be on the field. There will be some talent there. Obviously bringing back Kennedy. Eric Kennedy's going to play center field. Dylan Campbell's going to move from left to right. And then you got the transfer Porter Brown coming in from TCU, an older player. So the outfield has the most experience.
Yeah, they got a ton of it.
They got a ton of
experience out there.
Plate appearances, everything that you can look for. But if you're looking at this team, you're going to have to look at the starting pitching all the way back to the back end of the pitching, because I think throughout the at-bats there's going to be some grinding at-bats that are going to be there, but you want to make sure that pitching staff is where it needs to be. And I think that's where Woody comes in and does a great job, because he has so much experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what when Texter said pitching staff, their top concern.
Yeah.
Just because it's unproven. A lot of us stuff that's unproven, but as Harsh just mentioned, there's a ton of talent there. One Texter wants to know, what about Tanner Witt?
Tanner Witt is still coming, he's still working through his rehab. He's going to probably be better by mid-March, and then by the end of the season, hopefully he'll be 100%, but they're not going to rush him. There's no need to rush a guy with that kind of talent and that type of arm and that much upside for him past the University of Texas, just to get him on the field. I think that they're doing the right thing by him and working him in it. He's throwing. He's been working out. So just be patient. I talked to him at a basketball game, and I was like, man, I just worried about you. How you doing? He's like, yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm working in the right direction. And I was like, cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And randomly, CB mentions that Jack Harlow is in the new White Men Can't Jump as whatever the Woody Harrelson character. You're definitely going to see some type of random live promotion.
Yeah.
With Jack Harlow at the All-Star game. Get ready for it. I don't know
100%.
how they're going to present it to you, but they're going to shove it down your freaking throat.
Yeah, it's
they're going to force they want you to like Jack Harlow. Listen, Jack Harlow is
He's
talented.
a hooper.
He's talented, but they want you to like him so bad, it makes you want to dislike Jack Harlow.
I mean, It makes me dislike Jack Harlow.
Exactly.
It doesn't make me want to dislike him. Just straight out It's like, dude, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do, and yet you still appear on my TV constantly.
Everywhere, on your timeline.
And then you're just like, hey, man, it's just great to be here. Like, yeah, it would be great to be here because you're nobody to me. I don't know how you keep getting these places.
He's got a publicist that is amazing. His publicist is unbelievable. He's got the David Mulligetta of publicists out there.
Did you see you remember when he got in trouble for going to a Celtics game?
Who, Jack Harlow?
Yeah, he went to the Celtics game, and every other rapper was like, hey, just to let you know, rappers don't go to Celtics games. Heads up on that one. Just to let you know, they're not
Gucci
a fan
Mane?
of some of us.
You mean Gucci Mane at the Celtics game?
Hey, that's I know there was a little bit of backlash in the rap community. Like, just letting you know, we don't tend to go there.
That's funny. Yeah, Jack. Listen, the crazy part about it, I was on Jack Harlow before a lot of people were, and then he was actually cool. And now that he's going mainstream, people are like, I don't want this guy. I don't want this guy.
My mom asked me about
timeline.
him. My mom goes, she was like, we were watching the Kentucky Derby, and then there was just this guy there, and I think he does something in music, but I don't know. I was like, it was Jack Harlow, wasn't it? She's like, that was who it was. I'm like, I don't even have to. I don't know what you're talking about, and I can tell you, if it's a random white guy that you don't know what he does, it's Jack Harlow.
But what was his Super Bowl commercial? He had a Super Bowl commercial too. I forgot what it was.
Oh, he did.
He did. Now I forgot what it was. Oh, the triangles. It's Doritos.
Doritos. Yes.
They
have Jack Harlow Doritos. Doritos, I think.
They do. I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And I think they have him at either Jack in the Box or Taco Bell.
Got like
he has
a meal
one of those.
or something.
Yeah, he's got a
no,
meal.
I'm telling you, they really want you to like Jack Harlow. They want y'all guys to like him, and y'all need to like him so they will leave
guys
us alone.
to like him.
So they'll just accept him, and then they will stop pushing him on us. All right, we'll come back. We got the flex on the other side right here on Ball Out. What for another horn?
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at the Lee Kitchen and Tavern. The Lee Kitchen and Tavern specializes in chef-inspired comfort food made from scratch in all 4 area locations. That's Avery Ranch, Bee Caves, Belterra, and, of course, Lakeway. Nothing is more comforting than having fresh burgers and fries. The League's gourmet burgers are ground in-house and made from scratch. On Mondays, you get 2-for-1 burgers. That's right, you get 2 burgers for the price of 1, but you can only enjoy that dine-in only. On Thursdays, they are prime to wine nights. You can enjoy all kinds of food that night. Make sure you get half-price bottles every Thursday. And also, the League also offers the Trip to the Big Easy inspired menu for the month of February. Pair yourself with some great food from the League. That's right, you can get the League's Creole Cobb salad and some stuffed pork chops in the Louisiana cuisine, like I said, at the Big Easy. The League Kitchen and Tavern with 4 area locations. You can have lunch and dinner, dine in or take out, and it's right around the corner from you. Go to leaguekitchen.com. That is leaguekitchen.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday. Harch got it on the first guess. He figured it out pretty quickly. It was a little Public Enemy jam that was about basketball. He figured out All-Star Game weekend. Must have inspired my man Patrick, who loves him some NBA. He watches it every damn day, every day he can. So he figured it must be about basketball. Turns out he was right. The new theme of the day is trying to transition us to get us to focus more about basketball because basketball season, football season is officially over, and the All-Star weekend is upon us. So we'll talk more about that actually coming up. But that is the new theme of the day. And I wish, because I was taller.
Yes,
And
he wants to be a little bit taller. He wants to be a baller. Shaq Khaled. No, yeah, it's and then someone texted
ski.
It's Skilo, yes.
Skilo.
I love someone texted and said too short. Like, no, the song's about being short, but it is not too short.
Too short.
This is very much not Too Short.
Oh, Too Short would never be this PG-13.
No, Too Short does have a song that's somewhat about basketball.
Does he really?
Yeah, it's called Blow the Whistle, but we can guess what he means by whistle.
Oh, well, yeah, we know what he's talking about there.
Yeah, we don't get to play that one on the radio.
That's what I'm saying. Man, it's a risk for you to play any Too Short on the radio.
Yeah.
It really is. I remember, I still tell the story. My first date with my wife now, we were driving in the car and randomly, I was just looking for stuff to play. Turns out, randomly that week, I had listened to Too Short. I couldn't even tell you why I had listened to Too Short that week, but I had. And I was going through it, and I had on and it went to Too Short because I had on like a kind of a random mix, and it went on Too Short. And she was like, "Oh, this is my jam." I'm like, "You like Too Short?
You like, huh?
You must be nasty." Because Too Short's lyrics. Can we name a nastier rapper than Too Short?
I mean,
I'm sure there are, but it's not too many.
Not that are that successful either.
Yeah.
Like he had multiple
raunchy. He's just raunchy.
Yeah, maybe like 2 Live Crew.
2 Live Crew is it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Man, they got called into Congress.
Yeah.
So
when you get when you get called into Congress because of your lyrics, yeah.
You got some issues.
2 Live Crew.
You got some issues.
That is true. Yeah, 2 Live Crew is in there. They got Banned in America.
Yep.
They made a song about it.
Yeah.
They were Banned in America. And
America.
Oh, it was great. All right, I remember that time period because I had an older brother and he was trying to get it and I was trying to steal it from him.
Yeah.
Every time he got something like that, like, I'm stealing from him. He had to. I got beat up so many times from my big brother from stealing his NWA and stuff like that. Oh, it was awesome. All right. Anyway, sorry about this transition. Get to FLXATX.com, young people. Get to FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. Got some great content up there for you as well. And I did hear some of the flex yesterday, so shout out to my man Zach Lucero, Nolan the Seed. Cameron did a fantastic job on the flex yesterday, and it was a great one. So you can go back. Actually, you can podcast that and hear the flex.
Yeah, it's actually up on the flex page, and it's Coach Salazar was on there, Brody Bueno, and Dripping Springs wide receiver Garen Duncan were all on last night's show.
That's nice.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Garen, that's I didn't know Garen Duncan was on.
Yep.
Okay. There you go. I got to go back and check it out myself. Great job by those guys. But go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. They do have the replays up on the website. I just saw that. It's up on the website right now, so you can go check it out. Someone says Lil' Kim should be on the list of raunchiest rappers. Yeah, strangely enough, that was part of her mystique, was that she was nastier than any of the dudes you were listening to.
At that time, she was the nastiest rapper, and
She
then
really
everybody followed suit. Every female rapper after that was like, well, if Lil' Kim is getting it like that, we can get it like that too.
Yeah.
So they started really going out there and dealing with the explicit lyrics.
Yeah, no, and it was like honestly, it was kind of I hate to say it's kind of a women's liberation thing. They was kind of just claiming their own sexuality within a male-dominated industry. Like, hello, man, y'all can't be talking about our sexuality. We'll talk about our sexuality, and we'll talk about it in a way that maybe maybe makes you a little cringeworthy.
Yeah, very much so.
It didn't make me cringeworthy. I enjoyed it.
Play on, player.
So I remember getting 2 Live Crew on the mixtape. I offered to mow the yard so I could go listen to it on my Walkman without my parents knowing. Yes, I remember I had a Walkman when I first got to Texas. I still had a Walkman. And Tillman Holloway, an offensive lineman who played for us, I think now he lives in Colorado somewhere now. He He's this is what he claims. He claims that I was walking because I was listening to screw tapes. All my DJ screw tapes, they weren't on CDs by then. So they were all actually literally still great tapes. I would listen to them while I'm walking around campus, and he smashed my Walkman.
What?
Smashed it.
Why?
Because he bought me a Discman. He said, I will only give you this Discman if you let me smash this Walkman. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, bro. I was like, it's my Walkman. I'm listening to like my DJ screw stuff. He's like, man, you gotta let me smash this thing, and then I will give you this brand new Discman, brand new. And I was like,
I can't look at you walking around with that Walkman,
bro. Exactly. That's what he was saying. He's like, bro, I can't listen to it, man. People making fun of you. I'm like, I don't give a damn. I like my Walkman.
Did you
I
have
like
them bagel headphones?
I don't know. I think I had some old school hair. It probably looked pretty old school now. In retrospect, he probably did do me a favor.
You got some tape
he
on
had
them.
your back, dog.
He probably had my back, but he's like, I gotta smash it though. I can't give you this Discman, then allow you to still walk around with the Walkman. I gotta smash it, and he did. He smashed it right there, right there in front of Juster. Smashed it, and he was like, "Here's the Discman, man. Take it." And then, strangely enough, that next, I found out at the Screw House because they got like a DJ Screw store down in South Houston. They started putting them on CDs. By then, anyways, so I was like, "Oh, I'm good."
And you thought you was in there, dog.
Yeah, I was good. I was in there. I was in there like swimwear. So thanks to my man Tillman Holloway. Random shout out there. All right, we come back. We'll get into.
You gotta let me smash that, dog.
Well, hope he didn't say it like that.
Hey man,
He's trying to seduce me.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey dog, you gotta let me smash that."
No, yeah, he did. He said it straight up. He's like, you gotta let me smash it though. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, and he did. He right there on the spot. He's a man of his word. All right, let's get to the break here. Well, speaking of Longhorn football, we'll go behind the burnt orange curtain. We'll talk about the big board coming up for the upcoming NFL draft. Longhorn transfer portal acquisitions getting a lot of love as well. Jalen Ford getting some love, and JT Sanders. And we got a spring game schedule. Not spring game. Well, we do have a spring game schedule, but also we got a spring football schedule. We'll get into all of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, and it's a new theme Thursday, and that is the theme, ladies and gentlemen. It is basketball. My man Patrick wants to get you in the right mindset. All-Star Weekend is this weekend. We're transitioning. Football season is officially done. It is over, so it's all about basketball. March Madness coming up. You got the Big 12 tournament, which is on the horizon. Well, you got all the conference tournaments, but we're in Big 12 country, so we're talking about that. But still, lots of basketball discussion, and that's why there's a new theme for New Theme Thursday. You can be a part of the show. Specs text line is the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. It's the number to the Specs text line. You can always reach out to us via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis, the real MVP at It's Patrick Davis. And I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. Harge, what you got for the people coming up on Harge Knock Life?
Well, it's ironic that we talked a little bit about the baseball game and where Texas kind of matches up, but we're going to go through the players' lineup at the plate. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to preview all the teams that Texas will be playing this weekend.
Yeah, getting into basketball mindset, but also the baseball mindset. Because Texas baseball getting ready to get things going, and my man Harge is going to get us in the know. We already got into it a little bit in the 3 o'clock hour, but talking some more baseball coming up for Harge Knock Life. Next segment, you don't want to miss it. All right, while we got some time here, I want to talk some Texas football news, notes, and nuggets. Some of these are draft related. Some of these are kind of Longhorn football related, current Longhorn football player related nuggets. But I want to start with the Pro Football Focus Top 100 big board. I was looking at this big board and I was just trying to see how many Longhorns were listed on it. They just do 100 of the top prospects. And I'm starting to see this in a lot of different places. Pro Football Network's another place that I'll give them some props about their coverage. I've seen it at, but even following some of the scouts for a lot of the different publications, Moro Ojomo is high up on people's draft boards. And higher up than Keandre Coburn, which I understand, and which I'll explain that in just a second. But they got a number 85 on their big board. Overall, they got him the 85th best prospect overall in the draft. They got DeMarvion Overshown, 82nd overall, top prospect. They got Bijan Robinson, 27th overall, best prospect in the draft. But, yeah, going to Moro Ojomo, because he did go to the Senior Bowl, and I saw some good stuff about him there, but he's undersized. But I think it actually works in his favor. He's 6'3", 280, but because he plays multiple shades up front, I think NFL scouts are actually starting to visualize all the different ways they can move him around the front. Remember, even Texas did it. He had 118 snaps playing at the edge. He had 244 snaps playing as an interior defensive tackle. And Pro Football Focus loves him too, by the way. He's one of 4 Power 5 interior D linemen with top 15 pass rush grades and run defense grades. Actually, a run defender, it had him as the 4th best interior run defender in the country.
Yeah.
As a defensive lineman. And I mean, this is a guy that, like I said, can play multiple positions up front. He is, depending on how things work out at the combine, he's a guy that could end up making himself a lot of money and moving up draft board. Don't be surprised to see Moro Ojomo. He's probably going to try to gain some weight before the combine, too, because I think that's the big knock on him. He's undersized. But I think that gives you more ability to move him around. I wouldn't ask him to put on too much more weight.
No, you can't. I mean, this guy, don't forget, too, he's a young football player.
He's a baby still.
Yeah. So he's still going through those growing moments in his life. So I wouldn't rush to put a lot of weight on him. I think he's going to be able to do so. But I've been impressed with him, and he was somebody that I've always liked, but it was just taking a matter of time, right? It's one of those things where you expected more from him. He was very vocal. He's an intelligent football player, so he's going to be able to pick up a lot of that stuff when they get to the whiteboard. He's going to be able to do
That's
that.
A good point.
So people will be impressed with him, especially when they interview him. He's gonna rise up the board as well, because he's a great interviewer.
He is a great
he'll
interviewer.
give you everything that you want to know. Sometimes a little too much.
Exactly.
But that's what he is. That's who he is.
When keeping it real goes wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got silenced around here.
For a little bit. He came back, but he couldn't give us the same stories that he was giving us before.
Yeah, you're right. They let him talk to the media again. They silenced him for a while, but they didn't keep him off the field because I think he demands to play because of how good he is, and how impactful he was. And Texas was the deepest interior defensive line in the country last year.
And they had the best scorers every time. Every week you were seeing that the Texas defensive line was always grading out well.
Yeah. And it was specifically because of the interior D-line. They were just so deep between Keandre Coburn was coming out, Moro Ojimo was coming out, T'Vondre Sweat who's still there, Byron Murphy was still there. Throw in Alfred Collins in the mix in there. Throw in young Vern Broughton. Throw him in there. They just had so many bodies they could throw at you. It's weird to say that now in retrospect, considering where we were this time before last season. That was the best interior D-line in the country. But it was. It was that deep. So give Bo Davis and give those guys a ton of credit. Keandre Coburn, even though he's not on this list, he's going to end up with a team that really falls in love with his situation-specific skill set. NFL is an NFL now where a lot more teams are running power, counter, gap schemes. We're still running a lot of inside-outside zone. And that became all the rage. With that, you needed defenders who could go sideline to sideline, who could operate horizontally, basically, who could still, make plays running down the line of scrimmage. Right? So that means more svelte, hybrid guys that can run down the line of scrimmage. If teams are running power, gap schemes right at you, you're going to need guys that can just stand at the point of attack or hold their ground at the point of attack, reset the line of scrimmage. Those are Keandre Coburn guys.
Right.
And that's how he's going to end up making him or increasing his value in the NFL. So it's going to be a team that really needs him for situation-specific roles, but he still is going to be able to eat in the NFL because of that. Because that is also something that's evolution in the league right now that people are starting to go away. Since so many defenses are built to stop the zone blocking schemes, now they're saying, hell, let's just run right at them with counter and gap schemes. And these defenders aren't built for that. They weren't built or they weren't developed to play those roles, so they need to have more specialized defense. Happened to the Eagles, by the way.
Yeah.
That's why they got Ndamukong King Suh and Linval Joseph.
Because they couldn't handle that. That's right.
They couldn't handle it. They were a defense built to handle the zone blocking schemes, which means you got to be built to handle a horizontal offense that's trying to beat you down the line. You got to have sideline to sideline defenders. Yeah, that's great. They can run sideline to sideline. But what if I decide to say, you know what? I'm just going to run it down your effing throat. Right at you. Right at you, homeboy. What you going to do about that? I'm coming right at you. And then they couldn't stop it.
Right.
So the Eagles we got to get Ndamukong Suh, who is one of those guys who could just be stout and stand his ground at the point of attack. Linval Joseph, same thing. So that's what I said. That would be a Keandre Coburn. There will be something going, no, we need one of those guys so that we have a counter when teams decide to go, hey, man, we're just going to run right down the damn line. Happened to Poona Ford, too.
Yep. Do you
Seattle loved his role there.
Do you think that this is the light went on for Keandre Coburn? Is that what you think happened, where the light finally switched on for him, because for a long time we kept thinking he was going to be that guy. He was going to be at that level. Mm-hmm. He was going to be able to push himself to that point, but it just never got there. And then this year he finally popped, and now people are looking at him a lot different, and now he's in that position to be one of these draft picks and one of these guys that everybody's starting to talk about a little bit.
Yeah. It's strange. Yeah, it's interesting because he had so many different systems he played in here at Texas, right? How many systems he ended up playing? Three. Right? 3 total? Yeah. Todd Orlando, Chris Ash.
And now
Coach K.
Yep.
Yeah. It's weird, because and I said this about Jalen Hurts too. When you have that, you're playing in that many systems and you don't have a chance to gain a comfort level or consistency or continuity within one scheme, it's supposed to force you to regress. And I think it does for most players. And there's an argument to be made that since he was in this same system for back-to-back years, that maybe that's what it was. That he finally had some consistency in the same system, same message, same teaching technique, same terminology, all that. And, of course, experience helps, just having a ton of reps.
Right.
You know that.
Yep, for sure.
No matter what sport you're playing.
You got to have reps.
I'm a senior. I'm probably going to be pretty damn good. I just seen everything.
Right.
I've seen it all.
Nothing shocks me
Nothing shocks me. There's no move you can do that I haven't seen. I don't know how to counter. I've seen it all.
Right.
And you know how to deal with adversity better. So I think that's a big part of it, but also just consistency in the scheme for him.
Yep.
It's not that way for everybody. Like I said, Jalen Hurts, remember we talked about him. he had 4 different systems in college, right? He had Mike Locksley, Brian Dabble,
Yep.
Lane Kiffin, had Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Then got to NFL, Doug Peterson and
then
Nick
switched out,
Sirianni.
yep.
6 different systems in like 7 years, and he actually is thriving right now, playing
Yeah.
his best football. So it doesn't work that way for everybody, but I think for most people, there are exceptions to the rule. Just being in the same system, having that type of comfort level and that familiarity, it just helps out a ton
No doubt.
for him. DeMarvion Overshown's number 82 on this list,
Like it.
and
I
he
think
also
he's going to pop.
yeah,
I
he
think
should.
he's going to pop.
Combine's huge for him.
Yeah. No doubt about
Combine's
it.
huge for him.
Because we know what he was coming out. We know what he did when he made the position change, and he was very hesitant initially to make that position change to go to linebacker because he still saw himself as a safety. He thought that was the best thing for him. And then, too, he didn't know how the weight was going to look on him because he's used to being at a certain playing weight, and he's still a little light to be playing in the NFL at that linebacker, weak side linebacker position. But in today's NFL, he might be perfect. Why? Because of what you said just a second ago about those linemen that were there because they could go sideline to sideline. Well, that's exactly what he can do as
That is
well.
what he can do.
He's a sideline to sideline type of player. So I believe this was going to be – he's going to be a guy that when you look at his testing, he's gonna even get higher on people's grades because he's that talented.
Yeah.
I think he's a freak of an athlete.
I hope so. If he tests well, some team will take a chance on him. He may be a bit of a project, but I think he's a perfect new age linebacker to deal with kind of the spread era the NFL has become. Bijan Robinson, of course, number 27. That's probably a little low, honestly, as the overall prospect.
Right.
He'll probably be drafted maybe closer around the number because they've devalued the running back position. But that guy probably should be a little bit higher as that. Rojo is not listed on their top 100 prospects. Wouldn't expect that. That's overall, so that's different positions and everything. But, man, there's a lot of people saying he end up being a day 2 pick potentially if he performs well at the combine. Some people say they expect him to run like a low to middle 4.4.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Remember, he was one of the fastest players on the team when they did the when they have the actual like the miles per hour body monitors.
The
when
track guys.
Yeah, well, he was one of the fastest
One
guys.
of the relay teams
yeah,
that he was
man.
talking about at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I don't know if Rojo's going to be on that. But talk about speed and power, man. He's a nice combination of it. So, but there are 3 players on that list. Murrow Jamo, 85. DeMarvion Overshown at 82. And Bijan Robinson at number 27. Spring game schedule and spring practice schedule have also been released. Texas put this, Jamal Finner, actually, I believe was the first one to put it out there. So shout out to him. He's already putting in the work.
He already put up a clinic. He organized a clinic this past week.
Nice.
In the locker room.
Good to see
so
Coach.
They got to see his work.
Already putting in the work, making himself at home. We knew he was going to be a great, a positive impact acquisition for Texas, but good to see him already making himself at home. So he tweeted out the spring-summer schedule for Texas for their spring practices. So they're going to go March 6th to start spring practice. They're going to go March 6th, March 8th, and March 10th. Then they're going to basically take off for spring break. Almost 2 weeks for spring break. Come back March 22nd practice, which is a Wednesday. Then they'll go Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th. 27th, which is a Monday. 29th, Wednesday. 31st, which is a Friday. And then they'll go April 3rd, which is Monday, April 5th, Wednesday, April 7th, which is a Friday. Then they go April 12th, April 14th, and that's their final practice or scheduled one for the spring was April 14th, and then you'll have the spring game, which will be actually that weekend.
Right.
Yes. So there you go. And I believe I heard Chad and Zay say that the April 15th, the spring game, they're going to have the Bevo Boulevard open up at 9 a.m.
Ooh.
I heard that. Yeah, I believe I heard them say that it'll open up early so everybody can get down there and enjoy themselves. Yeah, but the spring game is 1 p.m. Orange and white game, sorry.
Okay.
Orange and white game, I think that's officially
I'm down
called.
with that.
1 p.m. Admission is free, of course. Free 99, so you ain't got to worry about that. I don't know about parking. I'm sure we'll get some updates on that.
No doubt.
As the time goes by. So most people are like, well, what about the parking? The game may be free. What about parking? That's always an issue. But, yeah, so the spring games and spring practice schedules have been announced. Everybody's really excited about it. I mean, this is a team this year that we've talked about it. Very few, if any, excuses that could come up for this team. They got a lot of talent, and the Big 12 is anybody's league.
Right.
Anybody's league this year. All right, so something else I want to get into since we're talking Texas football. A.D. Mitchell is listed on I saw this from Pro Football Network, actually. Had this list of the top wide receivers that were acquired via the transfer portal all across college football. A.D. Mitchell's at the top of this list. Hell, maybe they did it alphabetically. I don't know. But he's at the top of the list. He's the first name on here. And they talk about how he tallied 38 receptions, 560 yards, 7 touchdowns his last 2 seasons. The ultimate insurance policy, in my opinion, for Isaiah Nayor, if he doesn't come back 100% healthy or if he's not the same player, they need somebody to take a top off of defense. He could be the guy. We don't know how this offense is going to look this year. That's why it's very intriguing coming off of that bowl game. We talked about this on Longhorn Blitz. The identity of the offense and what it's going to be is probably my biggest area of concern for Texas next season, this upcoming season, is because without Bijan Robinson, without Rojo, and from what I saw at the bowl game for Texas, I'm not sure Sark knows what the identity of the offense is going to be either. And that's fair. That's fine. He doesn't have to know right now. I mean, that's something he can figure out later on. But it's clear that right after losing Bijan and Rojo, that it's not a smooth transition for him, and it shouldn't be. But it's not clear, and it's not an obvious transition, I should say. I think he's going to have to do some rabbit holing and figure out, all right, now what's the best avenue for us to build the identity around? Like, who are we going to build it around, and how are we going to build this new offensive identity post Bijan, post Rojo?
Right.
And A.D. Mitchell may be a big part of it.
Well, he should definitely be a part of it. That's why you brought him in.
Yeah.
And then you also got Isaiah Nayor. You still got to figure out what you're going to do with Worthy. You're still trying to figure out your scheme for the running game. How are you going to use Jatavian Sanders, and what's his role going to be? So for him, bringing in that type of impactful player, somebody that we thought was going to, when he came in, everybody's first thought was, oh, yeah, it's about to go down. This is about to be the man that is going to help us out. But we thought the exact same thing with Nayor, and he ended up getting hurt. And you were still trying to figure out who is going to be the other guy that is going to be involved in it. Jatavian Sanders became it early, but then he faded because you stopped featuring him. So now you have to be able to share the ball with all of these different types of talents, and that room is thick, man. That room in the wide receiver room is thick now.
It is. I agree. It is thick, and you have enough weapons for a young quarterback like Quinn Ewers to rely on that you could make the passing game the identity of the offense. But he had a really good game. No, he did have a really good game in the bowl game, and I like the way he played. But I would caution early on about just overburdening a young quarterback.
Right.
You want to make life easy on them. So I just say that's part of it too, and maybe that's just with the run game. Maybe the offensive line takes a huge step. It doesn't matter who's running behind the offensive line. But that's my big concern early, and I wonder how it's going to look. And we won't see that in spring game, by the way.
No.
That's the whole point. You're not going to see it in there. You won't even get hints as to what the identity of the offense will be, and you shouldn't.
Right.
Sark, if savvy enough, you shouldn't get any hints because he doesn't want to reveal anything to the future opponents Texas got to play. But I have no idea how the offense is going to look post Bijan and post Rojo, and I can make some predictions about it, but like I said,
quick game.
Well, you can say that, but that worked better when you had Bijan and Rojo in the backfield, who you knew could always keep you ahead of the chains, right? So those guys, you led the country in broken tackle rate and forced missed tackle rate during the regular season on run plays. Rojo led the country in broken tackle rate the last 2 years. Bijan broke the record for forced missed tackles in a season for Pro Football Focus. They were so unique in being able to turn negative plays into positive ones. So, yeah, the quick game, I'm all about quick game. Trust me, I was the one that made up the saying because I wanted it to stick.
Yep.
But it worked well when you had Bijan and Rojo keep you ahead of the chains constantly. You don't have that. We don't know if you're going to have that.
Yeah, we don't know.
You
if we
could end
will
up
have
having
that.
negative plays this year and then having to work from a deficit at times, too. You didn't have that a lot of the times last season.
Right.
With Bijan and Rojo, you don't.
Yeah.
They were magical in that aspect. So
They were special.
that's
They
what
were
I'm saying.
definitely special.
And you have to bake that into your model, whatever it is that, I don't have those guys.
Right.
I might end up with some negative plays. How do I now scheme around that or scheme that up? Because that's going to be a reality for you.
No doubt.
And, I agree with, what you're saying about getting, the quick game and getting him going. But, man, you're going to have some balance, and you're going to have the running game be a big part of it too. And, I think JT Sanders probably needs to be the focal point of the passing game to start out. No, it sounds crazy, but I think it'll be a lot smoother of a passing game formula if you start with the tight ends, with the short and intermediate game, rather than every time he's throwing the ball to X-Man, he's trying to get it down the field.
Right.
And that'll be there.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need to force it as much as they did.
Don't force it.
Just don't force it.
Just don't force it.
All right. You got Hard Knock Life coming up.
That's right. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball and preview this big weekend of opening day for the Texas Longhorns.
All right, we'll come back. Hard Knock Life talking hardball right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harsh here for Allstat Beer. Allstat is born in Fredericksburg, right in the heart of the Texas Hill Country. They have a beautiful state-of-the-art brewery. The brewery prides itself on their award-winning German-style beers. The Great American Beer Festival just awarded Allstat Lager a gold for the second time. They also have a fine dining restaurant that you need to go and check out. They also have a tap room where you can go in there and try more flavors. Plan your tour today and see it for yourself. Great beer with great food and, of course, great friends. Go to allstatbeer.com and find a local watering hole where you can enjoy some or where you can pick some up on your way home. Regardless, make Allstat your beer of choice. Allstat beer is made with 100% true German ingredients. That means German hops, malts, and yeast, and, of course, that natural hill country water. Allstat beer, no impurities, no regrets. Welcome back to a new theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. And the new theme is basketball season. Basketball is upon us, but I got to put that on hold just for a second as I get into my Hard Knocks life. You can follow me on Twitter at HardballHard. You can follow my man Rod Babers at Rod Babers, and you can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We love it when you're a part of the show. You can hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. And I wanted to go into this conversation real quick as the Texas Longhorns open their season tomorrow night at Globe Life Field. And a lot of people have been asking about this as well. If you want to watch the game, and I know our man Craig Way is going to be on these airways, and you'll definitely be able to hear him starting tomorrow night right here on 104.9 The Horn. And Patrick is going to be on 1260 as well?
Yes.
Yes. And you can also hear it on 1260 AM also. But you can also watch the game and listen to me and my man Danny Lee tomorrow on the live stream on flowbaseball.tv. I know a bunch of people have been texting that in, and it's flowbaseball.tv. Go to flowbaseball.com if you don't know that, and you can pull it up that way. It takes a membership, by the way. Just make sure you know that. You got to get a subscription. But a lot has been put into this new season, right? As the Texas Longhorns starts this new trek, and the goal is always to be in Omaha, there's a bunch of new names that Texas fans are going to have to get accustomed to because it's brand new. They're the names that you have been used to, like Trey Faltini and Ivan Melendez and Douglas Hodo III and Skylar Messenger and Silas Ardoin behind the plate, and then Pete Hansen being gone, Tristan Stevens is gone as well. So now you have to try to learn a little bit more about this baseball team. So Texas had brought in 7 transfers via Division I programs that are possibly going to be able to come in and make an impact. One of them is Porter Brown. He's scheduled to be the starting left fielder. He's coming in from TCU. You got Tanner Carlson, who is coming in from Long Beach. You have Cody Howard from Baylor, Hurley from USC, David Shaw and Heston Toll. Shaw's from Rice, Heston Toll's from Arkansas, which Texas plays Arkansas tomorrow. They've got a couple JUCO guys, DJ Burke and Chris Stewart, that are also from San Jack. So you're going to end up having to know a lot of new players. Some of the familiar faces that are going to be a part of this lineup is my man Dylan Campbell, who I've always been a big fan of. I thought that kid, I told you when Austin Todd got down, I said, look, if he gets a chance to play, he is going to stay in that lineup, and that's exactly what he did.
Yep.
He was a hot part of the success that Texas had down the stretch. He did a little bit of everything, played multiple positions, hit home runs, played well, and that is something that I'm looking forward to. Another name is obviously Eric Kennedy. He's going to be back. The main thing for Eric Kennedy is he needs to stay healthy. He was dealing with nagging hamstring injuries last year, so that was a part of his struggle, and he was never the same that we thought he was. He had some big hits. He had some pop. The guy can flat out fly, and he's going to be able to put some situations out there where teams are going to be frustrated trying to keep him off the bag. Mitchell Daly is moving from second base to shortstop. He was a little inconsistent last year at the plate. Only hit .237, so that was something that we needed to look at. But he definitely can field it at shortstop. Jack O'Dowd, as I was talking about, he's a guy that used to play at Vanderbilt, and then he transferred to the University of Texas last year. Obviously, with the team and the way that they were playing, he didn't get to see much playing time, but he's going to get a shot at this. Jalen Flores is going to be the starting third baseman. He can absolutely flat out play. He's a guy that you want to keep his name close to you because he's going to be a guy that you're going to absolutely love to see play. Now, don't forget, he is a freshman. It's going to be a little might have a little bit of uncomfortableness, but once the game starts, I think everybody kind of finds out their way and just starts playing the game. You know how that goes. The speed of the game kind of takes care of itself. At first base, he's going to have multiple players that are going to play there, but Jared Thomas is going to be the guy that's going to get the start. He, too, true freshman, no stats. He's coming straight up there, but his potential is top-notch. Now, understand, he is not going to be Ivan Melendez, so that is a lot to replace. Golden Spikes Player of the Year, National Player of the Year, every Player of the Year that you could possibly think of was Ivan Melendez. Don't look at that happening, right? Don't look at it that way. So just be patient with that. And then you got the guy from USC, the catcher, Garrett Gilmette, is going to be, or Gilmet. I'll make sure I have that by tomorrow for sure.
His ass great way.
Yeah, he's the catcher. And he's an older player, played at USC last year, hit 5 home runs, hit 286. He played 50 games. He's going to get a shot behind the plate as well. And then you got, I was mentioning you, Tanner Carlson, big-time player, played at Long Beach State, hit 345 last year and played in 39 games. He's going to get an opportunity to play as well. So as I said, you're going to have to really study your programs and try to piece some guys together. I know we're going to have those mainstays. We talked about who is going to be on the mound, who are going to be these potential players, but you want to make sure you understand that this team is going to go through some hiccups. They're going to. But if you come to the University of Texas, no excuses are going to be made. You're going to have to go out there and play to the best of your ability. So I'm looking forward to it. They open with number 8, Arkansas. Arkansas is a team that obviously went to the College World Series again. I got a chance to see Arkansas last year at the Carbach Round Rock Classic. They were not very good. David Van Horn said the same thing. He was like, nah, we didn't play very well. But as the season went on, they got better. And it's not about where you start at the beginning of the year. It's where you finish at the end of the year. All of these games are going to be learning situations for Texas. He's going to learn a lot about what his team looks like, who can handle the pressure. Because as I said to open the show, there's going to be 25,000 people possibly in that stands for Friday night's opening game against Arkansas.
It's going to be lit. 2
Southwest Conference foes, and now 2 teams that are going to be battling each other in the SEC moving forward. So you're going to get a chance of that. Saturday night, you're going to see Missouri. Missouri's not a team that has been really good over the last few years. But one of the things that they did do, they brought in a lot of transfers themselves. A lot of teams are now using that portal to fill in a bunch of gaps, to make some splashes. If there's availability on some of these guys, they're going to go right after them. And that's what they did, because Missouri's in a position to where you're in the middle of this SEC. You got to make sure that you're making moves. If not, you're going to get passed by, because now you're bringing in teams like Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC. You better get your stuff together, because they're a team that's going to be very intense moving forward.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to see. When's the last time Texas went into a season unranked?
It's been a while.
It's been a while,
It's been a while. I think it was the first year maybe when he took over, when
Coach Pierce took over.
If it wasn't the first year, I know it might have been the second year.
Okay.
Yeah, that might have been the last time that they come into it, especially after a team that went to the College World Series last year.
Yeah.
But you lost so much in the draft.
And lost so much overhaul coaching staff.
And the coaching staff
overhaul
as well.
Coaching staff, lost so much talent in the draft. But it's, hey, man, you're a blue blood. It's Texas baseball.
There's no reloading.
There is no reloading.
There's no reloading.
There is no restarting.
Exactly. There's none of that. You're not allowed to do any of that. No. You can't push that button.
No, it don't happen. I mean, everybody's still expecting Omaha.
Exactly. And to finish the tournament out, they will finish with number 10, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is perennial baseball powerhouse. They always have a bunch of guys that are drafted very high. They bring a lot of talent. They got a center fielder, Enrique Bradfield, who is unbelievable. He can go get it in the outfield, and he is a speed demon on the bases. He is a guy that will be a first-round pick. He will be a very high first-round pick.
One of them, huh?
And he's one of those guys. And he's been batting leadoff since his true freshman year. He's been in the leadoff spot because he's that talented. He's the active stolen base leader in college baseball. 98 stolen bases in his career, 3-year career. My man got 98. He's somebody that the lost start is never lost on him. He can go get it.
Man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
He wants. Do we?
He's one of them.
Do they? What do they run at like the combine? Baseball's at 60. What do they run?
6'3". 6'3". If you run at 6'3", you can flat out fly.
You can flat out fly.
You can flat out fly.
Do they time the Texas baseball players when they come in,
do.
like in the offseason or
They
whatever?
do. They do when they're just like everybody else. They're
in
wearing the
off-seasons.
monitor.
Okay.
They're doing that.
Oh, so when they play, they got monitors on
They
too.
got monitors
Ooh, I
on
would
them,
love
too.
to know some of those times.
Yeah.
Some of the guys.
Because they can go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. All right, obviously you're hearing more baseball discussion. We are blessed to have Hardball Harge here with us, so we're not going to waste that talent. So glad he's breaking down some baseball with us. He'll continue to do that. As a matter of fact, he's going to be giving us a preview of Texas opening season matchup, if you will, coming up this weekend. So we'll talk more baseball. We come back, though. We got Off the Record. I am giddy because one of my favorite TV shows is coming back this weekend, and it is one of my favorite claims to lame. I'm talking about true reality TV show trash here, people. And I'm gonna hip you out to it. This is actually some of the primo reality TV show trash.
Wait.
Some reality TV shows, it's just pure. I mean, you gain nothing from it at all. There's nothing you can extrapolate from it. It's nothing you can learn. You're not educated. You're not enlightened at all from it. No. This is reality TV show trash that will make you a better person. We'll come back and talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. All right, gentlemen. What is your favorite trashy reality TV show? I got a bunch of them.
I don't think I really have one that
You got one that you're into?
Nah,
You
not
ain't got
really.
one?
Except for maybe The Voice or something like that. That's not really trashy, but yeah.
It's not trashy.
Yeah.
It's reality TV, but
It's
not
reality,
trashy.
but yeah.
No, not trashy.
What's your
Patrick?
No, I don't watch any reality TV.
His
You don't watch any
reality,
reality TV at
his
all?
reality TV is hoops.
No, I don't watch.
That's
any.
sports.
Not a fan of reality TV.
Sports is his reality TV.
Prefer scripted, planned out, good material.
Oh, it's scripted.
What I prefer.
Most of it's scripted.
Oh no, it's not. It's
it's
planned. It's not a script. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Most of it is scripted. I'm not trying to blow it up for y'all, but I know people who've been on reality TV shows, and a lot of it is scripted. Just so you know, it's not scripted like they give them a script, but it's scripted as in do that again.
Yeah,
let's do that 4 or 5 times in a row to make sure we get it right. I mean, at that time it's not.
What I mean by scripted is someone writes a joke and then they write the joke better and then they make the joke really good and then they get the right take of the joke. As opposed to someone just being like, "You're a bitch." And you're like, "All right, cool. Glad we got that good. Take one. We nailed it, guys."
But one of my favorite trashy reality TV shows is actually Naked and Afraid. I love Naked and Afraid because I learn different things. It's actually these people they're sent out into the random different ecosystems around the world. And they have to live there and survive there for sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, sometimes a month. Survive this random part. Sometimes it's in America. It's like in Mississippi, in the Louisiana swamp, or in the Montana mountains. You know what I mean? Just somewhere random like that. But they got to be naked though.
Yep.
All right, naked.
And they got to be scared.
Well, if you're naked and you're in a random, you're gonna be scared. You're gonna be scared. So it's one of my favorite trashy reality TV shows for a while because you do actually learn things about they're survivalists. So they have to actually know how to survive out there. Some of them are not, and they survive like 2 days. They think they are, and then they have to go home. And crazy stuff happens when they're out there. Okay, so I just learned from TMZ about this story, Naked and Afraid. And by the way, this is stuff that I would never do. That's why I love it. I would never go out into some random ecosystem and just go camp out there for a month or 2 weeks, whatever it is. I would never do that. Definitely not going to do it naked.
Right.
But these people, God bless them. All right. They get out there and do it. So this guy. All right, so apparently the show's coming back this weekend. It's what I heard here. Naked and Afraid, the latest season, the upcoming season. And it's on Discovery Channel if you want to check it out for yourself. So this guy from UK, Sam Mauser, he's naked, and he's making a fire. And apparently one of the hot coals from the fire, I don't know how it happened. He was, I guess, messing around with the fire, and it landed, one of the coals landed on the tip of his
I don't like the way
junk.
it's already starting.
It landed, the hot coals, gentlemen, landed on the tip of his junk. That's right. Right there on it. There's video of the incident. I didn't watch it. I guess I could watch it whenever I see the episode. His name is Sam. Sam, he was worried that he might be in trouble. He was spending 21 days in the America's Wild West. So he called for medics. And I'm assuming he was okay. I don't know if he tapped out or not. They didn't give us that information because usually when somebody gets an injury, they can tap out and just leave after they call the medics. So we don't know that about Sam, if he chose to stay or not. But there you go. This is the kind of stuff that happens.
It does.
When you're naked.
And afraid.
In the middle of the forest or the jungle or whatever it is. I admire these people for doing it. It can never happen to me. There have been a few people from Austin, too. More than a few, actually. There have been like 2 or 3, I think, from Austin, over the years.
That on Naked and Afraid or just?
Like on Naked and Afraid, I believe.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that there were that many on that.
I want to say there have been like a couple throughout the years that I remember like back in the day. Yeah.
Wow.
All over. But anyway, Naked and Afraid, I'd recommend it if you're into trashy television show. And you might see this guy get his
you
junk,
definitely will see
his junk burned.
You'll just hear the
by
sizzle.
some hot coals. Yeah, man, you got to be more careful.
You got to be more careful.
You naked and you got hot coals?
Yeah, man.
How does it even get that close to your junk? It shouldn't. You should be.
He was trying to stay warm.
You should be bent over, like what I mean.
Trying to stay warm.
Trying to keep your junk away from the coals as you whatever. manipulate the fire, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that'll set you back a little bit.
I'm blaming him for that, man.
Well, because it's going to be a short series. You know what I'm saying?
You way too relaxed around hot coals when you're naked.
Yeah, man. Well, you're not thinking either because he's freezing. That's why he's around the hot coals. And he's used to being around hot coals with clothes on as a buffer. Sometimes you get out of your element when you're not thinking properly.
I think he was trying to warm up his junk because he had suffered some shrinkage because it was cold out there.
Failure.
Exactly.
Failure.
Yeah, that was a dang coaching mistake right there. Don't do it.
Now he's dealing with swollen glands.
You know
what I'm saying?
I don't even know what. Yeah, that's a serious injury, man.
Yeah.
That's a sensitive area.
Coach, I'm not going to be able to participate today. I'm dealing with some things.
Man, all right, there you go. So watch Naked and Afraid. Trust me, there are random stories like that all the time. All right, we come back. We'll get into NFL news, notes, and nuggets on the other side. I want to give some props to the Dallas Cowboys, actually, and the Texans for their rookie classes. Some rookie class rankings for the 2022 class have already come out, speaking very highly of the Cowboys and the Texans. Both of those teams also making coaching staff additions. We'll review those and talk about Todd McShay's latest mock draft. Not good news if you're a Texans fan. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We know that time is money, and so do my friends over at Apple Leasing, and they're in the business of saving you both. They're going to save you time, save you money, and also find great value for you. Apple Leasing has the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even get you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. They're always here to help you. They're going to make your life easier. That's what they're all about, trying to help you find the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And all you got to do is reach out to them. One phone call, 512-346-9977, or just go to their website at appleleasing.com and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. And like I said, they can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Apple Leasing simple interest easy lease makes life, well, simple because it gives you more flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is out of control. It's through the roof. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. So leasing makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So call Apple Leasing today, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. New theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. And the new theme of the day is basketball. Patrick's really excited about All-Star Weekend coming up. That's when everybody starts focusing on the NBA. March Madness actually right around the corner. So Patrick wanted to help us transition our mindset from football, which was basically talking Super Bowl this past week because that was the official end of football season, to now talking about a lot more basketball. NBA or college basketball, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was watching some old slam dunk contests too over the past week, and so you're just like getting a little bit. You're like, all right, maybe. I mean, there's some good stuff.
You want
to
watch the old slam dunk contest to get you hyped up about the current slam dunk contest?
There was no other games on.
Okay.
And I was hanging out with a buddy of mine, and so I put it on. I was just like, oh, just kind of put it on, and then you'd be having a conversation. You'd be like, well, no, and then like, what are the Rams gonna do? Are they gonna make a ooh?
Oh man, I can imagine watching old slam dunk, watching old slam dunk contests is kind of like watching old SNL episodes, comparing them to current SNL episodes.
Yeah.
Because they had these great casts back in the day, and some of these skits are still really creative these days. So I'm not knocking that group, but they just don't have the star power that they once had on SNL back in the day.
No, like that's
what the dunk contest is lacking now too.
If you watch that 2000 slam dunk contest, that's the Vince Carter coming out, Vince Carter killing it. Tracy McGrady's in it, Steve Francis,
it's amazing.
It's so good.
It is. It was a rite of passage then.
Yeah.
Everybody felt like, hey, I want to be the next great, the next GOAT. I gotta win this slam dunk contest. And then that's just one of my many accomplishments that I'll have on my resume or notches on my belt on my way to being like MJ or like Kobe. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't know if it's a hot take, just my take. I blame LeBron. It's not totally LeBron's fault, but LeBron does have some ownership in the dunk contest losing its star power.
Yeah.
Because I think if he would have done it, it still would have had cachet for the young guys as a rite of passage.
Yeah, and I think
he never did it, and I think that was part of its losing its luster to the celebrity crowd.
I think too, some of the guys that you want to see in it are the most injury-prone guys, and they're yeah, you love to see Zion Williamson and Ja Morant in it. Neither one of those guys you want to see in it because you're like, Ja, you're gonna die if you do that.
Ja, he will. He's gonna kill the rim in the process. But yeah, he's so violent.
Yeah, it's like you just don't so you don't want him to get hurt. But he's
that's a good point.
And
that's the good thing too. It's a good point. The load management mindset has also affected it too.
Yeah, because the teams are like, no, we don't want to put you out there and lose you for 3 weeks because, and I mean honestly, a lot of these guys will just hurt their hands because you're trying to violently slam the ball on the rim and you break a finger or pop a finger, and they're like, well, cool, you can't shoot right now for 2 weeks.
Hope it was worth it.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to make a playoff push. You got to sit on the bench with taped up fingers.
No, it's fair. I was say, it ain't the only reason. LeBron's not the only reason. There's a lot of different variables, but he's a big part of it. But still, really excited about All-Star Weekend and the dunk contest, three-point contest. We'll get into some of those details tomorrow and break down the dunk contest and the three-point contest because All-Star Weekend is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I want to get next segment. I'll get into one of my favorite football theories, actually one of my own football theories I came up with personally, and I've been keeping track of it year by year, and I actually kind of forgot all about it this season, and now it's hitting close to home. It relates to the Texans coaching hires and also relates to the one of the coaches in the Super Bowl. So we'll get to that too, and I'll talk about the latest update on one of my favorite football theories. But speaking of football, Tom McShay came out with his latest mock draft. We'll get into that a little bit too, and we'll also get into the latest coaching staff additions for the Texans, also for the Cowboys. A little under the radar additions for the Cowboys, but still I think they could be pretty important. So we'll get to that. First, I want to give some props to the Cowboys and to the Texans, by the way. I saw at CBS Sports, they did a postseason ranking of all of the rookie classes in the NFL, considering now we are officially done with the NFL season. And they had the Cowboys and the Texans ranked pretty high. They had the Cowboys ranked as the number 5. This is CBS Sports, by the way, so give them props. It had the Cowboys ranked as the number 5 overall rookie class, which is pretty damn good. Talked about their hits being Tyler Smith being a hit, Deron Bland was one of the interception leaders in the NFL as a rookie, Sam Williams being a hit, and Jake Ferguson, which is a good sign because they may need Jake Ferguson to take over for Dalton Schultz, who they don't want to overpay, who they put on the franchise tag this year. Now he's going to be looking for a contract extension. But I digress. So those are the hits for the Cowboys. And it got me thinking about, the last couple of years, because the Cowboys have had really good rookie classes for the last couple of years. And then I went and looked I couldn't find CBS Sports' ranking of their rookie class from 2021, but I found Pro Football Focus and NFL.com's ranking. Pro Football Focus had the Cowboys 2021 rookie class ranked as the 12th best in the NFL. NFL.com had their rookie class ranked as the 7th best in the NFL. Obviously, everybody's got a different metric, different definitions of success and that kind of stuff. But the Cowboys, either way, last two rookie classes for them have been really, really good. And it just reminds me of, why the Cowboys have limited themselves, really. And the reason I say that is because the Cowboys are really good in the draft. They actually are. As much as we, hate on the Cowboys and mock them for their organizational dysfunction, they're actually pretty good in the damn draft. The problem with the Cowboys is, as I've said before, they're the most homegrown team in the NFL. Right, last year, and I'll update this year when we get past the offseason and signings and everything. But when I went and looked at the highest amount of, at least the largest amount of free agent acquisitions, who also were your biggest cap hits. So biggest cap hits that were free agent acquisitions. If you look at the top 15 top cap hits on each team, and how many of those were free agent acquisitions. Start the season, the Cowboys just had 3 of those. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. It just means you're a homegrown team. But hell, the Rams were at 8, Cincinnati was at 8, Kansas City was at 8, Washington was at 8, Giants were at 6, Eagles were at 6. And nothing wrong with the way the Cowboys do business, but they're extreme about their homegrown formula in the draft. And by the way, they're good at it, so that's nothing wrong with that. They're also really good at, and I remember digging up these stats too about the Cowboys and how good they are at undrafted free agent acquisitions, like after the draft. So there are 4 ways to acquire talent in the NFL. You do it in the draft, you do it undrafted free agents around the draft, free agency, all right, or you can trade. 4 ways to do it. And the Cowboys, you could argue, are good, if not great, at 2 of those 4 acquisitions, types of acquisitions in the NFL. Because I looked at undrafted free agent classes, and there's actually, shout out to, I believe it's Thor Nystrom that does it. He ranks the undrafted free agent classes for every team coming out. That is exhaustive work, so give the man some props for it. And in 2022, he had the Cowboys with the number 1 undrafted free agent class in the NFL. In 2021, he had him number 2. In 2020, he had him number 1. So my point is, and this goes back to Cat Boy. The most cost-effective ways to acquire talent of those 4 that I just mentioned is easily the draft and undrafted free agents. They're the penny stocks of the NFL. So it's almost kind of ties into the criticism of Cowboys fans, or at least the criticism of the Cowboys organization by Cowboys fans of, man, y'all so damn cheap. Why don't y'all just go all in? Because all in would mean making more moves via trades, because trades help you immediately. Those are impact players who would help you out right now. Nobody is in the NBA or Major League Baseball. You just trade for a guy and we'll let him sit. We'll do this. We'll develop him. No. You trade for guys that'll be impact players. That's what the NFL's all about. And then if you start talking about, how free agency works, the Cowboys don't make splash moves in free agency big time. They don't spend big money in free agency because, first of all, it's the least cost-effective way. It's probably the least frugal way to spend your money in the NFL. But if you're trying to go all in and win now, everybody knows, hey, man, I got to go out there and go get these guys to help me right now. And my problem with the Cowboys is as these numbers will show, and kind of these deep dive rabbit hole, breakdowns of their acquisitions can show you, is that the Cowboys, the biggest problem may be that they only exhaust 2 of the 4 main options to acquire talent. That because they're really good. Like I just gave you the numbers, really good in the draft. They're really good at undrafted free agents. They need to take more chances and trade for guys to be impact players for them. They don't do enough in the trade market because we're starting to see the Rams, Philadelphia Eagles, the Bucks. Those teams are aggressive. Make trades. Go get the guy. I need that guy. Go get him. Hell, the Bucks traded for a coach. Like, hey, we need a guy. We need a coach. Go get him. Trade for him. Hell yeah, let's trade for him. Cowboys don't do enough of that, and they don't do enough in the free agent market. They're all about being, frugal and conservative in their approach in free agency, and I get that. But that's based on these numbers, and I'm looking at how well they've done in the draft and undrafted free agency. Man, if they would just be more aggressive in the other 2 ways to acquire talent, which is free agency and NFL trades. I'm not saying go crazy. It's the NBA-ification of the NFL. But, man, that's what could potentially break them through that glass ceiling that they've built for themselves.
I mean, I think there's part of it of Jerry's used to negotiating where he holds a lot more of the chips. And when you're trying to deal with free agents and dealing with trades, you don't have the chips. It's an even playing field at best. And so his style of negotiations don't necessarily fly when you're trying to lowball players as free agents, when you're trying to lowball other teams on trade offers. They just hang up the phone. They go, cool. Hey, man, if that's what you're offering, we'll go somewhere else. And he's used to, well, if I've got the oil or if I've got the building and you need the building, I can play hardball with you. You can't do that when you're trying to entice people to come to your team or entice teams to give you a deal that you think you're going to be able to win. And
that's a good point.
I just think he negotiates, so he just gave up on it at a certain point. He doesn't do it as much because he's like, every time I try and call somebody, I try and negotiate the way I've negotiated my whole life, and they hang up. and then the next day, I see they made a deal with the Vikings.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I never thought about it that way, but that is a good point about it. That's why he prefers the draft and undrafted free agents because he has the upper hand in all negotiations.
He holds all the chips.
It's all set.
Yeah, I own your rights.
Yep.
So we can negotiate whatever we want, but I own the rights. So either you don't play football or you play for the Cowboys.
Which is why he also likes to negotiate with his own, the guys. That's why he loves, promoting from within. He likes we like our guys.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that's subconsciously or not, but that's a great point. I never thought about that in terms of the wildcatter Jerry Jones and his, remember reluctance to want to negotiate and haggle enough in free agency and with teams, because you're negotiating with a team for a trade or negotiating with an agent for a free agency.
Both of those are both you were trying to win the deal, right? Yeah. You're basically no trade or no free agency signing. Are you really hoping, hey man, this is mutually good for both of us? If you're making a trade, you're like, man, you know what I'd really like? I'd like to get really good players, and whatever I send you turns out to be crap, and I walk away looking like a genius. That's what I'd prefer.
Yeah.
Now, if it is even equal, if it's equal, I'm fine with that too. But if you win the trade, then I look bad. So we can't have the other guy win the trade, which makes trading very difficult in the NFL. But you normally have buyers and sellers, and Jerry doesn't ever want to be a full-on buyer because he feels he should be able to pay the price.
I love the observation. I think it's an astute observation. I love it, and also I'll add this to it with Jerry Jones. This is what you need to learn from the Eagles. It's not necessarily that you go all in, because that is risky. And some, there are only a few owners that have really done that for the most part.
Yeah.
Now, and honestly, the chances are you're going to fail more often times than not if you go all in.
Yeah, and most times people that are trying to go all in are brand new owners trying to make a splash.
Yeah, and they want to bring the fans back, and they want some attention.
We've seen with Denver, they did that. With Stan Kroenke, moved the team. He's not a new owner, but he moved the team to L.A. Yeah. He wanted to make a splash when he moved the team to L.A.
Yeah.
We just saw it with Phoenix in basketball. Guy buys the team, immediately wants to make a splash. I get that's normally a thing. The Eagles were not.
They were not all in.
Well, no, because
they were just aggressive.
It's not a new owner.
They were aggressive. They weren't all in. It was because you pointed out they got picks.
They still have more picks than the Cowboys.
Yeah. So aggressive is different than all in, and I think we should make sure that we differentiate the two. But yeah, the Rams were more of an all in thing. I think the Bucks actually probably more all in than the Eagles have been. And even way back in the day, remember when the Broncos got Peyton Manning? They had a kind of an all in.
Yeah.
They went kind of all in at that time. They were kind of one of the first teams to go, no, we got a chance here.
Yeah,
let's go. We got
get
Peyton
him.
Manning. Let's go get him and let's go all in, trying to win a title. Just built around the window that he had left. But for Jerry Jones, like I said, I don't know because I love the observation you brought up, and I hadn't even thought about that. And I hope it's just not him being cheap, as he said he likes being in the middle. And he doesn't want to risk, going all in at any time. And that's a criticism too. I can't remember the Cowboys. I can't remember the last time they went all in. That's because I understand not doing it a lot.
Yeah.
The Eagles do it almost too much. The Eagles, they'll go all in, reset, go all in again. And Howie Roseman has said publicly, I'd rather be at the back of the pack. I'd rather basically be a team that has a losing record that's going to end up drafting really high than be in the middle. He said, we roll the dice, we take chances, and we plan on success. But he said, I'd rather be, all in and be going to the Super Bowl or, hey, man, we're at the bottom of the division. We went all in and we failed. He said, I do not want to be in the middle. Jerry Jones, the opposite. Jerry Jones said, no, we actually prefer the middle because we believe that stability, all right, that consistency will lead us to one day getting over the top finally.
Yeah, but that's also kind of BS in the fact that he hasn't. He
hasn't done it, yeah.
Well, he hasn't ever tried to get a franchise quarterback in the draft. Jimmy Johnson was the last guy who went to go get a franchise quarterback in the draft.
That is fair.
With Troy Aikman. That's the last guy, right?
Because they've been lucky.
What other first or second round pick have they taken to be like, that's our friend, we're going to try and build this guy? They got lucky with Dak. They got lucky with Tony Romo.
Yeah, they've got so lucky.
They signed Drew Bledsoe. We can say they went out and signed it, but that's not going into the draft and going, hey, let's be aggressive and get our own guy and do what we want to do, but let's try and go draft a quarterback in the first round and see if we can get our guy. So if you don't even do that, you don't want to be in the middle. You just don't want to. You just no, we just kind of want to don't spend a lot of money.
Exactly. That's why I hope it's not that. I hope it's more. I hope it's a deeper issue. That if we're psychoanalyzing Jerry Jones, that it doesn't come down to him being a cheap billionaire. Because I hope it's not that simple. I don't think it's that simple.
No, and I don't think.
But if he is, it could because it looks that way. If you're looking at how they acquire talent, just going back to the initial rant of how they acquire talent, the 4 ways to acquire talent. Free agency is easily the most expensive way to acquire talent. I always say, if you want to give the analogy about acquiring talent in the NFL, it's like grocery shopping. Free agency is like grocery shopping at Whole Foods or Central Market. You're going to pay top dollar for every damn thing on the shelf. All right? The the draft is probably like shopping at H-E-B. Best bang for your buck. Best bang for your buck. Your dollar will stretch the furthest at H-E-B. Got coupons there when you picking up your bread or whatever you're getting. Man, H-E-B is trying to help out the ball on the budget. They're always trying to do that. I appreciate that, H-E-B. A trade is like, it's always like going to the Sprouts app, right? You're going to like a farmer's market or something like that. And undrafted free agents, that's the easiest and cheapest way to acquire talent. There are penny stocks. Imagine going to the grocery store and the checkout cashier forgetting to scan a bunch of your items and just putting them in the bag and letting you walk out. That's undrafted free agents. That's how much of a bargain basement value it is. And to your point, Patrick, I hope it ain't just Jerry Jones avoiding going to Whole Foods and shopping and avoiding, the trade market, which are the most expensive ways to acquire talent, and just trying to stick with the cheapest ways to acquire talent.
And I don't think it's fully that. That's somewhat subconscious. I think it's more of just he looks at things as good deals or bad deals. And you not realizing to win an NFL championship, you have to make some bad deals.
Yeah.
You just have to do that because, hey, man, look, that guy's value is too much. We all agree that's too much for that guy.
Yeah.
But that's what the value is, and you need him. And that's a guy who's going to put you over the top. Or, hey, man, I know you don't want to make this trade because they're holding your feet over the coals and you're having to go up another first-round pick, and, boy, that hurts. But you know what? If that gets you a Super Bowl,
it's totally
worth that other first-round pick.
All of it was worth it.
So I get it's a risk, but you have to make some bad deals in there. And I think he just looks at things and goes, all right, we're looking at the free agent market. We want Odell Beckham Jr. He wants a 3-year deal. That's a bad deal. I'm not signing him. But if I can convince him down to go to a 1-year deal, then I'll sign him because that's a good deal. And then they don't sign him, and they don't have a wide receiver in the playoffs. because every deal they did was a bad deal. And you
Yeah.
go, well, you really need a wide receiver when you got to the playoffs.
Yeah, because the
didn't you?
Rams, that was a bad deal essentially for the Odell deal, but it was good because in the playoffs he showed up in like
Yeah.
those 3 games. That's what you need him for.
Exactly.
Them 3 games.
And so I think it's just he has this thought process of, I don't want to make a bad deal because bad deals, if I make too many of them, they get done. You're like, yeah, if you do make too many of them.
yeah, but you got to know which one. You got to know when to hold them and know when to
That's
fold
when you're
them.
supposed to be a great businessman and know which bad deals and which good deals and put them together. And it just seems the Cowboys and they just always try and take the easy road, which is, hey, man, let's go get these undrafted free agents. Hey, man, we found another great undrafted free agent.
And I like that, by the way.
What a great deal we got out of that. And you're like, cool, but that's
they
not
are
a
great deals.
championship team.
All I'm saying is, Cowboys, keep doing what you're doing in the draft
Yeah.
and keep doing what you're doing in undrafted free agency. Just get more aggressive in the trade market and get more aggressive in the free agent market.
Exactly.
And I just think that alone will help the Cowboys have a better chance of getting past the divisional round, even with Mike McCarthy there and Dak Prescott being the quarterback and everything being as it is. Okay, so I went on a rant there, but I meant to give the Texans rookie class rankings too. Good discussion there, Patrick. Texans were number 7 in this CBS Sports rookie rankings. They say the hits are Damian Pierce, Jalen Petrie, Derek Stingley Jr. and Christian Harris. Listen, Patrick, you're an ex-Texans fan. I was going to say a Texans fan, ex-Texans fan. Maybe coming back to the pack. We'll talk about that later around the draft time. But Nick Caserio, you go look at it, the last 2, well, it's only 2 drafts. He's only been there 2 drafts. They've been pretty good.
They've been pretty good.
They've been pretty good, man.
And now we can look at things to be critical and say you took the wrong cornerback.
Oh,
Now,
well, yeah.
So there's little things like that. But you didn't take a bad cornerback. You just
Yeah.
didn't take the right one.
Yeah, he took the wrong guy. It's okay.
Yeah, it's because it's not a bad one. It's
Long
not
as
like you
Derek-
took
yeah.
a bust.
As long as he doesn't bust out.
Yeah, he's still played well this season. He just didn't play Defensive Player of the Year well.
He didn't make All Pro as a rookie, which hadn't been done since Ronnie Lott.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you didn't take the guy that you're like, oh, this may be a generational talent now. as a
Man, that would have
quarterback.
been think about a game changer.
With
that
him
would've
and
been.
Petrie,
Wow.
you would have.
You got the best rookie safety and the best rookie corner in the league.
Yes. Wow. So that's what I'm saying. So there is things that he's done drafting where it's like he's missed on a couple things.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, he has done well of getting a lot of pieces in. I like that he's getting the pieces, but again, this goes to Cowboys. Man, if 4 quarters don't make $1, you have to get star players in everything. And it's like you can't just keep going, hey, man, all these guys, man, we have a full roster full of guys that are good role players. You're like, well, who's going to sack the quarterback? Well, every single one's going to get 1 sack this year. You're like, well, you need one guy with 12, and then everybody else can get 1 or 2. But you need one guy to get a lot.
This is that draft I think they got to start building foundational players.
No, and you have to start signing people. You have to start actually trying to put something together.
Totally agree.
Because, in all honesty, you're going to lose that O-line that you've used the last 5-6 drafts.
You're going to lose one of those tackles.
Well, but you're going to lose both one of those
You can't
tackles,
pay
a
both of
guard.
them.
You know, like you're going to have to start rebuilding your O-line by the time you put everything else together. If you don't start to go more aggressively now and say, hey, let's try and actually get to where we can compete in this division. We know Jacksonville's going to be good for a while now, but we can still compete with them, and you never know with injuries. But the Colts and Tennessee are both headed the wrong direction. We can compete in this division.
I would go, honestly, I'd kind of go with the Cincinnati recipe. It's strangely enough because they got 2 bookend tackles right now, and they just drafted, was it Kenyon Green, the guard from A&M? I think I might load up with some receiving talent for my young quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see what happens with Mechie because, you do technically have a top pick, but
you got him and Nico
But
Collins,
we don't know if he'll ever be the same guy again.
I don't know if I'd go first round. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm talking about middle round picks. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him draft 2 wide receivers they like, these young guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Brandon Cooks is not going to be on that roster next year.
I think he's going to be for at least for a while just because of his salary because they signed a really dumb contract. But
also dumb things Nick Caserio did that he didn't have to do.
Yes, that he gave him that extension.
Extend Brandon Cooks for no reason at all.
But I think he'll probably be around at least till the trade deadline.
I think they'll try to trade him.
I think they'll try to, but we saw what they tried to trade him for last time, and boy, that was a hefty price.
Well, yeah, because this ain't Brandon Cooks of 4 years ago.
This isn't first-round pick Brandon Cooks.
We can't trade that Brandon Cooks. All right, that was a little Texans talk there. And Texans, did look good. By the way, the Texans rookie class in 2021, they were ranked number 2 by Pro Football Focus, and they were ranked number 10 by NFL.com. So 2 really good classes for Nick Caserio back-to-back, and now he has got a ton of draft capital in the next 2 years, and he's got him a head coach. And we'll see if the Texans can make some magic happen with those picks. Speaking of, Todd McShay did put out his latest mock draft. We'll get a little bit into that in Rod's Round today, but I got my football theory. One of my favorite football theories is my Belichickian theory. I'll tell you why it relates to the Texans, and also how the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl also put on display the Belichickian theory for everyone as well. We'll talk about that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935, and as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local Union 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Ironworkers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people. That's right, 3,000 people right now for a huge project. And we're talking about a great gig, folks, a great job. You got benefits, pension, great pay, all of that with Ironworkers Local Union 482. So reach out to them, and you can think about changing your career path today. If you're frustrated with your work choices and you want to change in your career, how about teaming up with Ironworkers Local Union 482? You can take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Raj Rant of the Day right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Man, I was just looking at a random stat because I was doing some rabbit holing about coaches in the NFL, which is kind of what our next topic is going to be about. Random crazy stat. Has nothing to do with what we're about to talk about. Just what I found doing some research. Sean McVay, entering his 7th season as Rams head coach. He's still the youngest head coach in the league. He was the youngest head coach when he was in the history of the NFL when they hired him, and he's still the youngest head coach in the league, even after he went on his 7th year on the job. Unbelievable. Like, talk about a prodigy. Anyway, I want to get to what I used to call my Belichickian theory. I'm a big fan of the hire of Bobby Slowick, the new offensive coordinator for the Texans. Now, he is, going to be the offensive coordinator. He hasn't called plays before. He was a passing game coordinator for the Texans for the 49ers before moving on to the Texans. He's now going to be the offensive coordinator there. In his background, he actually was a defensive assistant. And even more so than that, his dad, Bob Slowick, actually was a defensive coach. Patrick mentioned that a couple of days ago. He's coached linebackers, coached DBs in the league before, and it's something that I am really high on. Now, he's, of course, an offensive coach, the pass game coordinator, but I've been high on this for a while, and for about, probably 10, 12 years now, I've been talking about my Belichickian theory. And Bobby Slowick fits it. He was a defensive assistant and a defensive quality control coach with the Washington NFL team and with the San Francisco 49ers. As recently with the 49ers, 2018, he was on the defensive side of the ball. And with Washington from 2011 to 2013. And in between that, I like this even more, he took a break where he basically became a pro football focus nerd for a couple of years, which I like. I know some people are against the analytics, but at least he is someone who's been fully immersed in the analytical world. He'll know all about it. But I love the fact that he's been in all these great think tanks, of course, up there in Washington where, they had, it was LaFleur was up there, Sean McVay was up there, Kyle Shanahan was up there, Mike McDaniel. They had all those guys up there on that Washington staff at one time. It's a hell of a think tank to be a part of. So even if you're just sitting in the corner, just being quiet, not saying a damn word, just listening, you should be able to soak up a lot. Shanahan, Clan, and all those other great coaches around. But I digress. I love the background, what I call the Belichickian theory, which is simply coaches at the college and the pro level who have experience in more than one phase of the game. Most coaches, I would say, 65, 70% of coaches out there, maybe more, at the college and the pro level, they have experience in just one phase of the game. Most people forget that football is 3 phases. You got offense, you got defense, and you got special teams. Some coaches de-emphasize special teams, don't care about it. Some coaches overemphasize special teams because they know other teams have devalued that phase of the game so they can gain, hidden yardage there, and they can kind of win games in that department. We've seen that before. All right, but the special teams is also a phase, so I consider that a part of my equation, or at least a part of the criteria for the Belichickian theory. So it's pretty simple. And in the NFL right now, there are only 10 head coaches that fit the Belichickian theory. And I like coaches like Bobby Slowick because if you have that, you have that experience in other phases of the game, especially offense and defense, when you're going up against offense or you're going up against the defense, and you've been on that side of the ball and you understand the rules that bind and the rules that actually are able to, or at least the rules the offense operates by, and the rules that bind a defense, that bind the structural integrity of a defense. And there are rules to both offense and defense, that rules the offense operates by, but rules that bind the structural integrity of a defense. And if you've been on that side of the ball, you actually know the rules. They teach them to you. Most of these coaches who've never been on another side of the ball, never been in a meeting room in another phase of the game, they don't know that kind of stuff. The coaches who have been exposed to it, they are highly knowledgeable of the rules that bind and operate the offense or the defense. And then they're in a better position to violate those rules. All right. And to put in certain cheat codes that allow them to have loopholes that will give them advantages within the construct of that offense or that defense. And that's why I love the hire of Bobby Slowick. I think it's actually going to be really good. We'll see. That's just, me throwing blanket at the wall to see if it sticks. That's my Belichickian theory. But here are the coaches in the NFL that fit my Belichickian theory. They're 10 out of the 32. Since now we have completed this coaching carousel and the hiring cycle is complete. There are 10 of them. Arthur Smith. He was a defensive quality control coach with Ole Miss and Tennessee before he decided to focus just on offense. John Harbaugh, probably next to Bill Belichick himself, probably has the most extensive, expansive experience in all phases of the game. Honestly, I would say it's probably more extensive than Belichick in terms of the Belichickian theory applying to him. He probably is the best example of it. Running backs coach and outside linebackers coach at Western Michigan, tight ends coach at Pittsburgh, special teams coach at Morehead State, along with the secondary coach, special teams coordinator at Cincinnati, special teams coordinator and DB coach at Indiana, special teams coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles and a DB coach there, and then becoming a head coach. So been on all three phases of the game. Been a coach at all three phases. That is rare. Bill Belichick is the only other one that's done that on this list, by the way. Shane Steichen fits that criteria because he was a defensive assistant with the Chargers before he decided to focus on offense. Brandon Staley fits that. He was a special teams coach with St. Thomas before he focused just on defense. Bill Belichick, of course, he was a wide receiver coach at one time with the Detroit Lions, special teams with Detroit, Denver, and the Giants. Brian Daboll. Off that Belichickian tree, defensive assistant before he focused on offense. Robert Saleh was an offensive assistant at Michigan State, coached tight ends before he focused on defense. Nick Sirianni fits the Belichickian theory. That's right, Mount Union DB's coach there before he decided to focus his attention on offense. Mike Tomlin, famously in this category, wide receivers coach at Arkansas State and also at VMI. Pete Carroll, when he was at Pacific as a grad assistant, was coaching wide receivers for a while. So he is also in that category. So those were the 10. Do you notice any pattern with those 10? Those are also part of those 10, 4 of them, the longest tenured head coaches in the league. John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, and, of course, Bill Belichick. Those are the 4 longest tenured head coaches in the NFL, and they are 4 of the 10 that fit my Belichickian theory. There are only 8 Super Bowl winning coaches currently in the league, and 4 of them are a part of the third of coaches, or less than a third of coaches, who fit my Belichickian theory. It doesn't guarantee success. Doesn't work every time, but I'm telling you, if I was a GM or if I was, an athletic director, it would definitely be one of the data points that I would be looking for on a resume. It's got to be something to it, Patrick. Like I said, it's too much of a commonality between great coaches. Brian Daboll, Coach of the Year, Belichickian theory. It's only 10 of these guys in the league. Nick Sirianni, one of the 2 coaches coaching in the Super Bowl, Belichickian theory. Bill Belichick himself, the GOAT. Then you got Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, all the longest tenured head coaches in the NFL. Belichickian theory, guys. I think it just gives you a more expansive knowledge base to start with about how to construct a team from the bottom up and how to review it and almost kind of rebuild it, if you will, look at the longest tenured guys from the top down.
So you like positionless players and positionless coaches?
It can blow up in your face. Look at Belichick. Remember, he just tried to do it with Joe Judge and
and
Matt
he was
Patricia.
trying to call plays too. And
so power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
No, but
it can blow up in your
does
face.
help you when you're interviewing people to be your OC and you're putting together game plans where you trust them. You are able to have a better understanding of it. And that's one of the things I like about the DeMeco Ryans hire was that the stories about Matt Schaub and some of his quarterbacks being like, oh, no, he was asking us about everything we were doing too, that he didn't just care about, I'm going to play. Why are you doing that on offense?
Good point.
because that lets me then know how to fix it and beat it on defense. But I need to know why you're doing that on offense.
And I know Shanahan very well. He's one of my best friends in the world, and I can guarantee you him and Kyle Shanahan have those discussions.
Yeah.
About the rules that bind the structural integrity of a defense and the rules that the offense operates by and how to violate those rules. That's all Shanahan's offense is built on. Violating, he's an habitual line stepper. That's all the guy does, on and off the field, by the way. I think you make a good point about that overall. Your point is, and I think it's a really good one, it maybe gives him gives you a better knowledge base to help coach your coaches and identify coaching talent.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. It's something in there, you know what I mean? But that's a good point about, if your coaches are full of it too, because I was like, oh, man, I've been on that side of the ball. I know what.
But, like, if I went and talked to you about setting up remote equipment, right, I could lie to your face about it.
You could. I would have no idea.
You would have no idea.
Yeah.
But if you could set up
course on it, yeah.
And then you can sit there and go, man, what are you talking about flux capacitors?
Yeah,
There ain't no flux, that ain't a thing.
You'd be like, I took a crash course on that a couple of years ago.
So I think it's that. It's, in any job in reality, the more you know about stuff, the easier it is for you to also find people that can be a great asset to you because they actually know what they're talking about.
Yep.
Versus, and if you're a defensive head coach and you're hiring an OC and the OC is explaining this concept, that's you like, man, it must be over my head. And you're like, no, it's not over your head. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, it won't work.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I think, Belichick, some of his coaches have been famous for, like I said, Brian Dabble did it as an assistant on that staff too. I don't know exactly what the secret sauce is to it, but I know there's something there. I've identified a trend, and I'm still trying to identify the specificity within that secret sauce. But there's something to the Belichickian theory, no question. It's almost like I was told once, if you need to hire a criminal lawyer, look for one that's worked for the district attorney's office.
Yeah.
It was like, if you want to hire a defense lawyer, look for one that's worked for the other side. So he's got he or she's got connections over there, and they know how it works. They know exactly how it works over there. That's what you need. And to me, that's always what the Belichickian theory is. You want that defense lawyer that's also worked for the DA's office.
Yeah, but then you don't want to be like Belichick and hire guys that got fired from the DA's office for incompetence.
To represent you in your murder trial?
Yeah, you know what? They walk in, they're like, man, I thought I kicked you out of here. No, I work for the other side now.
It's like that scene from My Cousin Vinny where the lawyer who was like stuttering and everything, can't figure it out. Oh, that's good stuff. All right, we got off the record on the other side. We'll come right back. This is Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my favorite tequila. It's Hot Cat Tequila. You already know what it stands for. Cinnamon, agave, and tequila. And the recipe, just as simple and just as delicious. It's just cinnamon, agave, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream. As a matter of fact, when I get off work, I may start the weekend a little bit early today and take a shot of Hot Cat Tequila. Like I said, the Hot Cat Tequila is a tequila lover's dream. And if you're not a fan of tequila, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. Turns any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you can't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. No watch party is complete without Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for the big game, concert, festival, or a night on the town with family and friends. Remember, Hot Cat Tequila is best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Wow, Patrick, you've outdone yourself.
Man, all right, can you name the name of the song or the artist?
I know NBA on NBC.
It is NBA on NBC.
I know the artist because, oh, man. I should know this because there's a great story about this, that he left it on a phone, like an answering machine or something, because he did it like impromptu at like a restaurant. Oh, I know this. It's on the tip of my tongue. Give it to me.
It is John Tesh.
John Tesh!
And the song is called Round Ball Rock.
Son of a... I'm so upset with myself. I knew that because I literally heard somebody tell that story, I don't know, a couple of months ago, actually. It is a great story. And I'm assuming it's true that he...
That's what I've heard.
He came up with the melody, and he was like, he didn't want to forget it, so he left it on like an answer machine or something.
I've heard that story as well.
Story.
There's also an amazing SNL skit about this song. Dad, if you've never seen it.
I think I've seen that too.
Where he has his brother with him.
I think I've seen this.
He has his brother, and then there's lyrics.
I want to say I've seen this. Okay, now I'll look it up in the break on YouTube. I want to say I've seen it.
There's lyrics to the song, and it's so funny.
Well done. New Theme Thursday for those who aren't keeping up. Patrick doing a great job. He always gives us certain songs, selections, and based on those songs and selections on New Theme Thursday, we're supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the new theme of the day. My man Harge got it because it was about basketball. He's really excited about All-Star Weekend coming up. It's time for us all to start transitioning. He's talking more hoops, and that's exactly what we're doing. So that's what the theme of the day is. And I wish I had Harge here because Harge is on his way. He's getting ready to go for his weekend responsibilities because he's actually going to be calling some baseball games. We'll give you some more details about that. But he's going to be joining us via phone tomorrow. Call us and help us break down some Texas baseball. So we'll get a little taste of Harge coming up a little bit later on in the show. But he always talks about baseball players having superstitions, right? He had a ton of them. He talks about that all the time, how superstitious he was, how superstitious baseball players are. Well, Patrick Mahomes is a baseball player, so he's very superstitious. So he's got that baseball superstition thing working. I told him football players, there's some of that, but not as much as baseball players. They are extremely superstitious. So Chad Henne, who just retired and was the backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, he revealed a superstition about, or at least that Patrick Mahomes believes in, that we were unaware of. So according to Chad Henne, and I'm assuming it's true because he knows Patrick Mahomes really well. Sure, lockers are really close. Share the locker room with the man. Share the position room with him. According to Henne, Patrick Mahomes wears the same pair of red underwear every Sunday.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Same pair of drawers.
I mean,
now,
I feel
he washes them, of course, they're clean.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know how many seasons that could last. I feel like you may have to re-up every season.
No. Apparently, no. Exactly. That's the same thing. He says they're the same one. He said, I'm not sure if they're Hanes or Lululemon, Henne joked. He said his preparation is unbelievable. He said he knows how to go about it. He knows exactly how many plays are in each section on Andy Reid's call sheet. And if it's off by one play, he's gonna mention it in that week. He dives into it deeply, and it's fun to watch him each and every day. But he did admit that Patrick Mahomes, he said, quote, the same pair of underwear, which probably not a lot of people know, on game day, he's been wearing it since I've been a part of it. There's things that I've seen that nobody else has seen, Henne said. So how long has Henne been with them? 2018. So he's been with him since he started being a starter. So since Mahomes has been a starter, he's wearing the same draws. Now, they got to be really good because all men know. Men, most, I don't know about all men. Men treat underwear like a Bible. Like, they just don't throw them away. Men don't throw away drawers for some reason. They end up deteriorating into
there's a point where you're like, you are no longer underwear.
Yeah, it's a rag or something.
Yeah. You are not holding anything in anymore. You are somehow doing more of a disservice than a service.
Yeah, right. It definitely doesn't serve the purpose it was meant to anymore. But men keep underwear way too long. I don't know what women's shelf life of underwear is, but men, they keep underwear a long time. I don't throw away Bibles, and I don't think I've thrown away underwear in my life either. It's weird. But I'm with women. I think the women I'm with, they just throw them away like, oh, this is disgusting. I'm throwing these underwear away. And I haven't bought underwear in a while either because I'm with a good woman who buys my underwear, so I'll admit that too. I'm one of them men. I'm a kept man now. I don't buy my underwear, and I don't throw my underwear away. My point being, these are some really quality draws he's wearing here. All right, these are quality underwear, quality tights or athletic, whatever they are, tights, whatever they are. They're really good because if he's wearing the same ones and they don't have holes in them by now, after 4 years, 18, 19, yeah, 4 years, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think he's getting replaced drawers, and he doesn't even know it.
Oh, you mean like my wife replaces my drawers?
Yeah.
Somebody's replacing his underwear there.
Yeah.
The equipment man or woman. They
I think
replace
someone
them.
is replacing his drawers.
But with their lucky draws, you can't do that.
I mean, apparently, he just won a second Super Bowl, so
If they lucky draws, he's taking them home with him, and he's washing them himself. No, you wash your own.
I know I got that. Yeah.
If they're lucky draws, you wash them yourself. You can't risk those lucky draws falling into the wrong hands or something bad happening to them.
No, and you don't want him to get, floating around with other drawers that are not as lucky.
Yeah, it's true. You get mixed up with somebody else's unlucky draws.
Yeah, the guy's got cut, and you got your drawers in with him. You're like, look at him. His girlfriend just left him. He got cut, and your drawers rubbing up against his machine.
Yeah, our draws shouldn't be touching. That's all right. They shouldn't be
Yeah.
touching. Hold up. So you think he still wore the same draws after that disastrous performance in the Super Bowl? I'd probably throw the draws away then. Remember the Super
Yeah.
Bowl to the Tampa Bay Bucks?
Yeah.
He got embarrassed in that Super Bowl. It's like one of his worst games as a quarterback ever. Going back to high school, you still think he kept the draws?
I mean, I wouldn't have.
I would have thrown those draws away.
Yeah.
That's
I've been
a-
like, it's time. I would have restarted every season at least, just solely on the fact that I do not think the life of no matter how pristine you take care of it, there's a shelf life on these things.
There's an endorsement. I mean, this is a great endorsement opportunity here.
It
If
is.
he's been wearing these draws for 4-5 years and they are still in great shape, that is the endorsement right there. Like, bro, these draws here that I'm wearing, all right, well, no matter who makes them, whatever, Lululemon or Hanes, he doesn't know. He's like, man, I've been wearing these things for 5 years. I've been sacked in these draws. I ran for touchdowns in these draws. I've thrown touchdowns in these draws. I've thrown for, 15,000 yards in these draws, and they're still in pristine condition. Perfect.
Yeah, that's not reality.
I agree. I don't know what these draws are made of, man. They must be made of some super material or something. Made from maybe they made from the stuff that they have in Wakanda. Because I don't know what
Patrick, go get your Wakanda drawers.
I don't know what they got. These draws are like they're all time great. So we'll find out more about Patrick Mahomes' lucky draws or lucky underwear, athletic underwear, whatever it may be. We'll get into that a little bit later on. All right, let's come back. We got Texas Longhorn football to discuss. We'll go behind the burn orange curtain a little bit. We'll talk about J.T. Sanders. Apparently, he is stepping up into a leadership role. We'll talk about what that means on and off the field for Texas football. All of that and more right here on Model Line. I want to put on the horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday based on these songs that are played for us. My man Patrick is trying to get us to gather clues and hints from those song selections that will lead us to the new theme of the day. It did not take Harge long. He got it on the first guess, and it is basketball. Getting ready for All-Star Weekend coming up, and that's why basketball is the new theme of New Theme Thursday. And this is Cheech and Chong?
This is off Cheech and Chong's album, yes.
Somebody on the Specs text line mentioned that earlier, too.
Yes.
I had never heard of Cheech and Chong's what is it called?
It's called Basketball Jones.
Basketball Jones.
It's got the great line, I took that basketball over me. I even slept with that basketball under my pillow at night. Maybe that's why I can't sleep at night. But yeah,
is it from like a movie soundtrack or something?
No, this is just when Cheech and Chong was putting out albums back in the day.
I love that. They just put out bit albums.
And then
back in the
on
day.
Space Jam soundtrack, Chris Rock and Barry White did a version of it.
Ooh. Hold up. Chris Rock, you said who?
Yeah, Chris Rock and Barry White.
Chris Rock and Barry White did a version of this?
Because Chris Rock is doing this.
Wow, I got to hear
and
that
then
one.
you had Barry White doing it on the
Oh, man, that might be pretty. Okay, there you go. All right, I had never heard this song before, so I appreciate my man Patrick broaden my horizons a little bit. That's what New Theme Thursday, all the musically themed days of the week are all about. You can be a part of the show. Specs Text Line's the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. We'll talk some NBA next segment. Rockets, Mavs, and Spurs all lost. So we'll talk some NBA, but it'll be sad conversations talking about the L's that all the Texas NBA teams took last night. All right, let's get into before we talk Texas football, I did promise you a conversation about Todd McShay's mock draft. So I did tease it, I don't know, probably about 2 segments ago, so I apologize. I wanted to make sure I got to it. I want to be a man of my word. Don't want to renege on that. I want to be a reneger. You don't want to do that. And don't use that term. You'll get yourself in trouble. All right, let's get to the Todd McShay mock draft. Todd McShay, in his latest mock draft, I believe was influenced by the press conference that Jim Irsay had when he was introducing Shane Steichen, his new head coach. And remember my man Hart said he watched the whole thing and that it was Jim Irsay and also the general manager was there as well, and that basically they were going back and forth about a lot of different things. And one of the things they went back and forth about was whether the Colts would draft a quarterback or not. Now, Chris Ballard basically was keeping their options open when talking to the media about what they would do in the draft and who they would draft. But the owner, Jim Irsay, was, he was not so discreet. He said, when asked about what they're going to do in the draft, the Alabama guy doesn't look bad, I'll tell you. Is what he said, which made a lot of people believe, and even my man Hart said he watched it and said that, it was kind of awkward because Jim Irsay was pretty adamant that, oh, no, we're going after a quarterback, and I really like me some Bryce Young. And I think based on that, that conversation, that interaction, Todd McShay's latest mock draft, which came out yesterday, it's got the Colts moving all the way up in the draft, trading with Chicago with the number 1 overall pick. He says he has them sending their pick in round 1, their number 35 overall pick in round 2, a 5th rounder, and maybe a 1st rounder. So what they are, I believe, hypothesizing here is that they sent 2 1st rounders, a 2nd rounder, and a 5th rounder. So 2 1s, a 2nd, and a 5 for the ability to move up to the number 1 overall pick. And I could see that happening if the Colts are just falling in love with Bryce Young, and if Jim Irsay is that adamant about it, I definitely could see it happening. And by the way, Todd McShay has the Texans taking C.J. Stroud, the number 2 overall pick.
Wait, is there a chance that he's trying to troll everybody and he meant Will Anderson?
Who?
Jim Irsay?
Oh, I never
is there a
thought
chance?
about that.
Because I know in the context
that.
of it, they asked him about quarterbacks, and then he said the Alabama guy looks good.
And then Chris Ballard kept saying we like a lot of defensive guys.
So he could be trolling people and being Will Anderson, because Will Anderson is a top pick as well and an Alabama guy.
That is fair. You're right.
He could be a guy, they'd be like, you wanted Bryce Young? He's like, no, I wanted Will Anderson. Y'all weren't listening.
Actually, you got a good point there. We say when you assume you make a blank out of you and me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good point because he doesn't say
I mean, context of it, I think they asked it to him like right when they're asking about quarterbacks.
That's fair, though.
So I believe context would make you believe that it is Bryce Young, but he does say that Alabama guy.
You know what? Honestly, Patrick. You're right about that. I never thought about it. I was thinking QB too. All right, he might be leading us all on a little bit there. But, yeah, Todd McShay, I think he was inspired by that interaction. He's got the Colts moving all the way up to take Bryce Young with that top pick, and he's got C.J. Stroud going to the Texans with the number 2 overall pick. There's also a report by Jason La Canfora that he says more than one NFL general manager came away from the Senior Bowl fairly convinced that Justin Fields will be dealt, meaning Chicago could fall in love with Bryce Young and decide, you know what, we're upgrading that quarterback. It's our win. We're going to reset our window a little bit too, even though we just had a quarterback who was somewhat successful in this rookie season. We want a guy who we know can be an elite, has a ceiling to be an elite passer in this league, which Bryce Young does have that kind of ceiling. We don't know if he's going to be.
And if we can get a better package for Fields than we can for the number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And so Fields is 4 first or 3 first, and the number 1 pick is 1 first and a second and a third. And
that's fair. That's
like,
a good point.
it may be something where they just go, well, I mean, if we're trying to build and we need a lot of places, these guys will give us a lot more.
And we'll have a lot more salary cap room. We'll extend our window because we got a new rookie.
We got a new rookie, and then we get more picks because people wanted him more than they wanted to take a crapshoot at the number 1.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, if somebody else is like they liked Justin Fields back then, he was really high for them.
Yeah. So I mean, and we don't know. I mean, like if you look at it, if it would be a Miami or
Jets could want to reset.
Jets,
they want to reset.
Carolina,
Baltimore decides.
Falcons.
We could pay Justin Fields, but we ain't paying Lamar Jackson that guaranteed contract money. Like, yeah, you're right. It could.
There's multiple teams that
Atlanta.
could want.
Atlanta's a team.
Atlanta's
that
somebody they
about.
have Ritter, but it's somebody that could be like, well, we don't know if Ritter's a guy. Maybe we'll trade Ritter off too and make that part of a 3-team deal or something like that.
Honestly, I could see that happening, but this is the season, by the way, the silly season, where all this misinformation is thrown out there too.
Yeah,
so
and everybody's trying to go out there and go, hey man, we'll offer you this, and go, well, we may be getting another offer for 3 first. So if you're offering us a first and a second and 2 thirds, I mean, I don't even know why we're still talking.
Yeah, everybody's in the let's make a deal mindset.
Yes, and I want to win.
Yeah, exactly. So for the Texans, I'll say this. You got a lot of draft capital. You got 2 firsts this year. You got 2 firsts next year. You got a ton of draft capital from Deshaun Watson trade. I would just move up to number 1 if I was them. I'd leave no doubt at all, and I would not take a chance on the draft order or the draft chaos coming back to haunt you. You want to control the draft. You got draft capital to do it. If you don't think, and your scouting department has not stated there's a difference, a true, gap between C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, okay, don't do it. If you basically said there's a negligible difference between the two, we don't know if either one's going to separate from the other. We got them basically as the same guy. We got one graded out as 8.7 on our grading scale, and another one's 8.5. They're the same guy. That's fine. But if you got Bryce Young as the guy, and there's a Grand Canyon-sized gap between him and C.J. Stroud, man, trade up to get that number 1 overall pick and go get your guy of the future. Go get your guy. We all know quarterback is the most difficult position to evaluate and also the most difficult position to develop. Bill Walsh famously said, very few people can evaluate the quarterback position and even fewer can coach it. I still think he's right on the money there. So we know that most of this is an inexact science and nobody knows what the hell they're doing when it comes to quarterback. With all that being said, I would still trade draft capital and move up to number 1 so you can get your guy and you don't have to worry about the draft, being a victim of the draft chaos, even though you're at number 2. But if you like Bryce Young that much, leave no doubt. Just go get him.
Yeah.
Go do it right now.
Yeah, I think it's especially if it's the Colts trading up there. Because if you have that, if he is that high ranked for you, can you really allow him to go to a division rival and play him twice a year?
Ooh, bro. That's a nightmare scenario.
And so,
and it comes out later on that you had Bryce Young higher on your big board. Yeah.
So it's not just, hey man, we don't think it's worth the value to go get him. It also plays into, we also just gave it to a guy we got to play twice a year. We're competing for division titles, for playoff spots, for everything with. Now if the price is outlandish.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do it, but I don't think the Colts are going to do it if the price is that outlandish because they'd have to move up from 4, and you're only moving up from 2. So you have a little bit more leverage in that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I went and looked at. I'll have to find it again because I did find the trades. I went and looked at the top trades for number one overall pick. Oh, here it is, right here. And the most draft capital that I can find spent to move up to number one overall would be the Titans when they received 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 third-round picks to move up to get Jared Goff with the number one overall selection. The Rams, moved up. They got Jared Goff and I believe a 6th-round pick in exchange, a 4th and a 6th. So they got a 1st, a 4th, and a 6th in exchange to move up. So essentially, I would say the 4th and the 6th. That cancels out maybe that 3rd-round pick they gave up, and then maybe that other 3rd-round pick. So essentially, 2 firsts and 2 seconds are the most that team has given up, I would say, to get the number one overall pick. That might be a little. It
depends too, is if
much.
You're giving up 20th, the 25th pick versus the 2nd pick.
Very true.
Like that's a huge difference. Of the Bears would still be able to pick whoever they wanted if they weren't taking a quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're basically still saying, hey, if we're the number 2 pick, we can go out and pick whoever else, whether defensive player we wanted, right? Or wide receiver or whoever else we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
We can still take them.
Yeah.
So we're not actually giving up our player.
No, that's a good point. Then they still got, the NFL, you can give up future picks, so you can still try to build right now, which the Texans can do too. So options will be open for the Texans. Cowboys fans, I know you're probably wondering, hey, who'd the Cowboys take in Todd McShay's latest mock draft? I'm glad you asked. O'Cyrus Torrence, a guard from Florida. Torrence allowed just 2 sacks over 47 career starts. Remember, they're going to lose Connor McGovern, potentially as a free agent. Terrence Steele is a restricted free agent, and they still don't really know what they're going to do with Tyron Smith. He could become a salary cap casualty. If you cut Tyron Smith post-June 1st deadline, you gain $13.6 million in salary cap space. You cut Zeke post-June 1st deadline, you get like $11 million in salary cap space. Hell. And I'm not saying they're going to do that with Tyron Smith. I'm just saying that may be one of the reasons that they could go after O-line in the NFL draft. All right, that's some NFL draft discussion. Oh, really quickly, since we're talking about the Texans and talking about the Cowboys, let's just get into their coaching additions just really quickly. Texans brought in Corey Undlin as a defensive pass game specialist. So Corey Undlin, remember they already have Matt Birch there as their defensive coordinator, and he's going to be the defensive pass game specialist, essentially the secondary coach or secondary and coverage specialist for them when it comes to building building a game plan and building their coverage packages. Also, defensive lineman coach Chris Kiffin. According to Aaron Wilson, yes, that is of the Kiffins, son of Money Kiffin, younger brother of Lane Kiffin. He also, according to Aaron Wilson, is likely to be brought on with the staff as a D-line coach or assistant D-line coach. He was a pass rush specialist with San Fran from 2018 to 2019 and with the Broncos in 2020. An assistant with Ole Miss for a while with his brother. So he's been around for a while. They also Texans hired Gerard Johnson as quarterback coach. He was an assistant quarterback coach with Minnesota this past season. Interviewed for the OC job with the Texans, actually. And he has got some familiarity with DeMeco Ryans because he was in the minority coaching fellowship. He was in the program not with DeMeco Ryans, but in the same year DeMeco Ryans was with the San Francisco 49ers for the first year in 2017. And he also was in that same fellowship program with Frank Reich in 2019 then became a quality control coach with them in 2020 and 2021 before joining Minnesota staff as an assistant quarterback coach. So congrats to Gerard Johnson. I've actually met him a couple of times too. And I still am waiting. Clint Kubiak also is being thrown around. A lot of talk about potentially bringing in Clint Kubiak as a part of that staff too. Not exactly sure what he would do. He was a run game coordinator with Minnesota, so some talk. Or he could be an assistant quarterback coach potentially too. So those are some of the names that have also been brought up for the Texans on their staff. The Cowboys have officially hired Ramon Chinyang as one of their assistant offensive line coaches. And he's actually a Houston native. It's crazy enough. Strangely enough, I heard his name a few times. He's actually from H-Town, and he had been a high school coach there in Houston. Yeah, he was. So he's joining Mike McCarthy's staff as assistant O-line coach. And recently, he was an assistant coach at Spring Westfield in 2019 in H-Town, and then moved to Fort Bend Willow Ridge in 2 seasons with them. He's I think he had an 11-8 record before moving to the NFL in February of 2022 with the Denver Broncos, and apparently has been considered a fast rising star in the coaching community. So there you go. And also they're bringing in Will Harger, who is added as an offensive assistant from USC. So maybe they're trying to get some of those Lincoln Riley ideas. That would be pretty cool for the Cowboys too. So Cowboys and Texans making some moves in additions to their coaching staff.
It does look like Clint Kubiak has already got another job, though.
Oh,
he is going to the San Francisco 49ers and coming in to help replace Bobby Slowick.
Okay, yeah. That didn't last long, I guess. Huh? Maybe that report was true. They were trying to bring him in.
This happened about 30 minutes ago to an hour.
Yeah.
So
maybe,
I believe they were talking to him, and then Kyle Shanahan said, no. Let me have somebody.
They've taken 3 guys from Shanahan now.
Yeah.
Right? You took Nick Cray, the chief of staff.
Yeah.
Took Burt. And I want to say there's another random lower level coach they took too. So I imagine Shanahan's not too happy about that.
Yeah. So they have signed Clint Kubiak.
Okay.
They also have Clay Kubiak, his brother, on that staff. So Kubiak reunion in San Francisco.
Hey, the Kubiak and the Shanahan clan, they go deep, man.
They do.
They go.
Hey, having Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, exactly. I believe you probably should join those names and make one of those celebrity names. Kubiak and Shanahan. How'd you do that? Shanaback, or I'm gonna screw that up somehow. I'm not gonna do it, but you can make it somehow. All right, we come back. We'll get into, I promise you, some Longhorn football news. So I promise we'll throw that into the conversation. But I want to talk some NBA while we got some time. So on the other side, we'll talk about the NBA teams. All of them lost last night. They were all in action, and actually, I think all of them are done. That was their last game before the All-Star break. So we'll start talking about that a little bit too, right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday right here on Ball Don't Lie. And fitting, the new theme for today, basketball. That's exactly what we're talking about in this segment. My man Patrick trying to get you in the right mindset, all right, right state of mind to enjoy All-Star Weekend, which is coming up this weekend. So we'll be talking a lot about the All-Star game and the All-Star festivities surrounding All-Star Weekend tomorrow. But today, talking about basketball, I do want to talk about the Rockets, Mavs, and the Spurs a little bit since we have a little time here. And we're transitioning now to the NBA season. And we brought this, since we're talking Spurs, my man Patrick is a huge Spurs fan. Spurs lost, but they're trying to lose, so it was
a big loss last night. Big loss.
Yeah, you needed it.
You need that one because they're one of the 4 teams down there at the bottom.
Exactly.
You're playing the Hornets, one of the 4 teams at the bottom. There's only 3 teams that get the best odds for the number 1 pick. You don't want to be the team 4 on the outside looking in there. So
Embrace the suck, man.
Yeah,
Embrace the suck.
Now they're not close to being as bad as the Rockets are. That's a new level of suck that I've never seen before.
They're unwatchable.
They're unwatchable.
They're unwatchable. Yeah,
and they have talent, but every single play where they score is somehow them scoring in spite of how bad that offense is.
They shot. Since we're talking about the Rockets, it won't take long. They only shot 33% from the field. I'm not making that number up. That's real. That was their field goal percentage in the game when they lost to OKC. 27% from three-point range, and they had 17 turnovers. OKC shot almost 49%. I think they were at 48.3%.
It's painful. Yeah.
Ooh. It's bad, man.
It's
bad.
It's hard to watch.
I know you're right because once you're in that bottom 3, then it's all about the lottery odds and all that kind of stuff. But man, Houston, we deserve that number 1 overall pick. We are sucking worse than anybody else.
But you don't because this is the problem. Is Houston, Orlando, and Detroit are the annoying teams that are tanking for a 3rd straight year.
It is annoying.
And at what point do you as a league have to go, cool, hey man, you have to fire everyone on your staff. Everyone's gone. We're going to make you sell the team. You can't just always suck and keep having a team.
I'm with you. I'm a fan. I'm over it. Yeah.
Because if your plan is we need to draft 5 top picks and then hopefully we'll be able to win a couple games, then you're not allowed to run a basketball franchise anymore.
I'm trying to think of how many years the Astros tanked.
And there's difference of football and basketball. There's difference because there's a lot of positions.
That's true.
You're playing 5 starters. And you've gotten 2 top picks, and you can't win enough games. The Spurs are running with they already had to cut their 11th pick because he was exposing himself to people, allegedly. Yeah. So they have Jeremy Sohan, who is their rookie right now. Keldon Johnson, who's doing well.
He is playing well.
He's playing well. There are a lot of guys that they're playing well, but they're later picks. They're not top 5 picks.
Yeah, the guy, Malachi Branham, the rookie.
Is playing well.
Man, he's balling.
Yeah.
Another good game last night, 23.6 rebound, 10 of 14. Man, he's having a hell of a February. He's going to be in the conversation for having, I don't know exactly how they divide up players of the month, but he's having a hell of a month of February.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that Spurs offense, even though it's not running at peak capacity, is still a good offense to get guys open and get guys decent shots. So they're at least okay to watch. They just are really bad down the stretch, which is okay because you want to lose games. But they're just – right now they can't close out games. They make turnovers. They miss shots at the end of the games. They don't play good defense at the end of games. So they're losing everything. But they're in most of these games in the 3rd quarter, and then they get knocked out in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, that's just the depth. But they are going to get back – with Vassell after the All-Star break. They'll get back a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
Langford, they'll get back some pieces after the All-Star break.
I know. That's why you got to get these losses now, man.
Yeah, well, that was 14 in a row. I believe that is the franchise record, the new franchise record for consecutive losses.
Yes.
So, hey, man, they're tanking as well as any team could tank. That's what you expect from the Spurs. They're all about their business. But, yeah, the Spurs ended up, giving up 52 points in the paint to Charlotte. And LaMelo just balled out. No pun intended. Triple-double, 28 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, had 5 3-pointers. He ended up having a really good game in a 120-110 win over the San Antonio Spurs. That was the Spurs' last game before the All-Star break. So after the All-Star break, they will regroup. And I guess they're going to try to keep tanking, but regroup, though, and they'll probably be a lot healthier after the All-Star break. The Mavs, on the other hand, they go into the All-Star break man, even after the Kyrie Irving trade, that was a lot of momentum. They did win 2 games with just Kyrie playing, but and by the way, Kyrie did not play in the last game versus the Nuggets. He was out with, I don't know, it was a back injury of some kind, but they listed him out for the game versus the Nuggets, so it was just Luka. But the 2 games that Luka and Kyrie have been on the court together and have been available, they're 0-2 in those games, but they're 0-3 in their last 3 games. Luka did what Luka did Luka things. 37 points. He was 12 of 22 from the field. Christian Wood chipped in 2 with 13 points, but it did not matter. They lost 118-109 to the Nuggets, and Jokic, triple-double machine, did just that.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, Jokic really in the beginning was trying to find out other guys and get other guys involved, which we saw Michael Porter Jr. have a really good game to start off. But it was basically, it's like, look, if you guys are going to have to double down on me and really try and stop me, I'm also an assist machine. Like, I'm also one of the best passers in the league.
His touch is amazing. It really
if you double off me, we're just going to get points another way. So they were able to continue. Even though they slowed down Jokic for a lot of that game to start, they slowed him down scoring, not anywhere else.
Yeah, and that's a good sign for them because they've been struggling defensively. But you're right. I mean, Jokic's one of those players. You can only take certain parts of his game away.
Yeah.
He's so multifaceted. You're only gonna take parts, frustrate him a little bit, but he's gonna get here. So there's no question about it. And I was looking at some of the stats for Luka and Kyrie, just heading into the All-Star break. Man, when it clicks for them, whenever it clicks. And maybe they got to bring in another piece for this thing to totally click. We don't know. But, man, like I said, offensively, Luka and Kyrie, they're both just too good for it not to work offensively. Defensively, we all know that's going to be a problem. Kyrie Irving leads the league in both fourth-quarter points and minutes right now per game. Another random stat about Kyrie, pull-up 2-pointers, second best field goal percentage on pull-up 2-pointers in the league. Only Kevin Durant is better. So when they were on the team, they basically had the best pull-up jumper percentage of any 2 players in the league when they were on the same team. And oh man, I like this. Clutch free throws in clutch time. He's shooting 96% on his clutch free throws. Second best mark in the league behind Dame Lillard in clutch time. Man. If it clicks, if it does, I think it will. There's no doubt it will.
Yeah, I mean,
when it clicks, I should say.
Yeah, they just got to figure out that offense. I think the All-Star break's going to help a little bit to give them a little bit more time to, get a couple more practices in, figure out, get a little bit healthier, take a little time to rest, and then getting Maxi Kleber back is going to be big for what they actually want to do because he is basically the only guy on that roster that can stand in the paint and try and play defense and spread the floor offensively. And they really, really want to do that because if you're able to spread that spread that offense out.
With Kyrie and Luka.
2 of the best people to drive to the basket, and they're both great at driving. And if it collapses, kick it right back out. And then you have 3-point shooters. That's how you can score a lot of points and be very efficient.
No, that's a good point. So I just said that Kyrie, best fourth-quarter player in the NBA, basically. He's leading the league in fourth-quarter minutes and fourth-quarter points per game. Luka, his 11.7 first-quarter points per game is the highest average for any player in any quarter in 27 seasons in the NBA. So he's basically the best first quarter, or hell, his first quarter is better than any other player's quarter, period. You got the best first quarter player and the best fourth quarter player, essentially.
Those middle quarters.
The middle, like Jerry said, it's coming back to haunt him. He also leads the league in isolation possessions per game, and he leads the league in time of possession at 9.6 minutes per game, highest mark in the last 10 years for any player. So, yeah, Luka is, of course, special, and everything revolves around him. But, man, when it clicks with those 2 guys – and I think Patrick makes a really good point too. Getting Maxi Kleber back will help that as well. I still think they want to add something. They want to add something. I just don't know. Obviously, it's size.
And that's the problem. Is there's not really, like, on the buyout market. There's not going to be anybody that's size that can do that, spread the floor.
Nobody's giving those guys up.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of those guys in the league, period. And then they're not on contracts where you're like, God, just get rid of them. They're older.
Yeah.
And the older guys can't really rim protect anymore. That's why you're looking at LaMarcus Aldridge, because he can spread the court, but it's
Just
Hey, man,
stand.
just
Can you
stand there.
stand in the
You're
middle?
6'11".
Yeah.
Can you stand there?
Can you stand there and put your hands up and just, not be a pushover? That's all
Yeah.
we're asking. But I can't wait to see post All-Star break what this Dallas Mavs lineup is going to look like because, man, talk about a lot of firepower between Kyrie Irving and between Luka Doncic. All right, we come back. We'll get to wrap it up and put it in the oven. I know I promised you guys some Texas football discussion. I promise tomorrow I'll table all that for tomorrow, and we'll get in some deep rabbit hole discussions about Texas football. I'm doing some analytics and doing some stats, and I'll come up with that tomorrow for you. So I promise we'll get into that. JT Sanders is really where I'm starting my rabbit holing about Texas football. So I'll give you a little hint and a little clue as to where we're going for. But that'll be tomorrow. Come right back. We'll wrap it up. Put it in the oven right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, getting ready to wrap it up and put it in the oven. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. As a matter of fact, if you missed the Flex yesterday, they had some very special guests on the Flex. They had Coach Salazar was on with them, the Westlake head coach. He was on with them. They also had Brody Bueno on with him, the really talented huddle defender. He was on with them. So they had some really good some guests on there as well. But they also talked a lot of high school sports. So if you are on the website, you can go to Horn FM or go to FLXATX.com. Go to FLXATX.com, and the interview, I believe, is not interview, but the show is podcasted there as well. So go check it out for yourself. Before we get out here, we'll let you know what's on tap. If you're wondering where Harge was, Harge is actually headed to do some baseball. He's going to be doing baseball this weekend, but he's going to join us tomorrow over the phone. So don't worry about it. We'll get Horace to join us to talk some Texas baseball, and we'll do that tomorrow. And also get into the All-Star game. All-Star festivities starting up. Dunk contest, three-point contest, got the skills competition.
Rising Stars.
We'll get into, and we'll break down the All-Star roster. We'll start getting in the basketball mood. And thanks, my man, Patrick. We already did that today because the new theme of New Theme Thursday was all about basketball. So thanks, my man, Patrick, for hooking that up. All right, Patrick, what's on tap for you tonight, brother?
I think I'm going to do a little rabbit holing on a theory. I want to see some numbers. It's a little basketball thing. We may bring this up tomorrow if I get my numbers done.
If you do that, honestly, if you do it in time, no matter if it's tomorrow or on Monday or something,
yeah.
This is a great topic. I don't want to spoil it for you, but whenever you get the numbers done, I would love to do a segment on it on the show because it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing I was talking about with my buddy last night. By the way, we put up Instant Series podcast since we were off for the last 3 weeks.
Nice.
It is available on hornfm.com on the podcast page now because, we went and recorded it last night, and you could tell by the end of it that it was late at night when we were recording.
Those are the best ones.
By the end of the episode of just us not being able to pull any names anymore.
Oh, yeah. After your brain stopped working?
The brain just like,
I have had that happen to me, yes. The brain,
too many hours in.
It does. The brain stops working. It does sometimes. I don't know about everybody else. You put in too many hours, you need some sleep, need to reset things.
There you go. What are you up to tonight?
Man, I'm actually, tonight, I'm going to start watching, there's a new show on Apple that I want to start watching, Apple TV. It's Echo 3. It's a show about a woman that was kidnapped in South America, and then I think the husband is like a special forces dude, and her brother is a special forces dude.
A lot of special forces dudes.
Yeah, he's probably the wrong person to kidnap, but I've heard good things about it. I've been watching. I don't know if you ever watch Your Honor.
No,
it's on Showtime's Bryan Cranston. Damn good show. I'd recommend it. I've been watching that one too, and I told you guys the other day about Mayor of Kingstown, which is on Paramount. Jeremy Renner. Damn good show. Really good. Honestly, no joking. It's better right now than Yellowstone on Paramount. It's probably the best show on Paramount right now. It's
nice.
better than Yellowstone right now, and it's better than The Tulsa King, which is another one, or 1923 or 1883. All of them quality programs, but Mayor of Kingstown's the best show on that network right now. It's really good. So check it out for yourself. I won't spoil it for you. But thanks, my man Patrick, for doing a great job. As always, Patrick, we appreciate all of your efforts. Thanks, my man Harge, who is out and about, man of the people, and he'll join us via phone tomorrow. And thanks to you guys for joining us. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll be talking about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.